Yeah, we got at least that far.
Because that was the non-regulated activities.
Right. We talked about new gutters versus.
Hey, can we, before we get into the text, can we, I'm thinking about what, oh, here's what I'm thinking about. That in my work experience, sometimes a small group would go off and fix something. And they wouldn't involve any stakeholders until the end. And it usually didn't go that well compared to giving people opportunity to comment or people you know that might mess it up. I don't know, whether it's the legal guys and, well, Tom, for example, he won't mess it up, but people that have a vested interest in what we're changing. That, you know, if we can kind of have them be onboarded as we go, or at least know what we're doing, or I'm curious about the end. And we don't just do it as a, here it is, it's all finished. Versus letting Tom, he's seen it because he's in his meetings, but like the town manager, town legal people, town council knows what we're doing. You know, that kind of stuff, Eric, so that we don't come with a completed thing and then somebody says, hey, you can't do that. You know, we didn't follow the process or procedure or get our input, or whether it's legally required or one thing, but there's also a goodwill piece to that. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
I don't think that we have the obligation to involve anyone else in the changes to this, but I also think the majority of what we're doing is just cleaning up language. We're not like completely rewriting this. Rewriting this, so I don't know that we need to get into such an extensive.
But I'm not saying they have to, I mean, they just need, you know, have an opportunity to weigh in, review, have us tell them why we're changing these things.
Well, I also
those kind, we just, sometimes you don't have to make them listen, but you can offer. You know, here's what we've changed and why we think this will streamline the process. Or make it better for the homeowners and the town.
These meetings are recorded, obviously. These meetings are advertised, for lack of a better term, that people can come and see them and be part of it. And I think what we can do is, you know, if you feel that strongly, we could send a little blast out to the town council and the town manager saying, this is, we're 3 meetings in, you're welcome to join us. And if no one shows up, we've done your goodwill. So
Well, that's the solution. I just want to,
what do you think?
making a suggestion.
I think
how we
that's a
can-
viable.
Yeah, typically, and this is speaking on like a zoning regulation area, when you do a draft, you do the draft that you want, and then you
Right.
present that draft.
right.
As this is a handbook and not regulations, would have to check into it. It's always a good idea to have an attorney check into it, but I don't know that the handbook has to be presented like for public hearing for the approvals, like a zoning
Right.
regulation does.
I think it does in the end. I think
Yeah.
we have to, when we're gonna make it, but I don't think involving anyone.
It gets really messy if you do that. You're the commission. You're the ones that are appointed to do this. You should do it. And then present your findings as a
Right.
draft. And then that's when everyone, even doing like the plan of conservation and development, that goes on for a year before like public input, because they need to know what they're looking at. So you need to have a finished product,
Okay.
at least as draft.
And I think
I'll just bring up one example to try to make my case why I think we need some review. If we haven't got to, it's on the next page that we'll get to. It says, let's change the certificate of appropriateness can be good for 1 year instead of 5. Right? And that in the enabling ordinance for the town, it says 5 years. So my view is we can't change it to 1 year without the town changing their ordinance from 5 to 1.
Right, and that could be something that could be picked up on.
In review, right? So that's an example of in review, and that has to line up with the state thing that enables the first place, right? Which has some language that.
Right, but we're gonna submit a track, a version that's gonna be tracked, changes will be tracked.
Sure.
And there's someone. To make sure,
Well-
important, if they catch that.
I guess my last admission is I didn't read the town ordinance or the state enabling legislation until the last couple of weeks, and we're like, wow, we should make sure we're familiar with this, because we don't want to make mistakes like the 5 years to 1 year either, right?
But even if we do, so be it. Someone
Oh, okay, somebody will fix it.
will catch it.
That's what lawyers are for.
Okay, well,
But I think,
All right.
but to your
But
point, your point is valid, but I agree that like, we're the commission, we make the changes. But I think something of that significance, we
Well,
should be
I don't know
writing
how
down
significant.
and saying, hey. Lawyer man, or lawyer woman, whoever, check this against, you
yeah,
know, still,
Well-
so he or she doesn't have to go through with a fine tooth comb.
I'm not-
He
yeah.
doesn't care
Let
about
me-
gutters, but he cares about.
let me just rephrase, and we can move on to other stuff, but. And it's really, it's Eric's call, whatever he wants to do with it, it's fine, but. But I've had too many work experiences where a small group of smart people change stuff. And they got pushback from other influential people because they weren't involved. Right, they didn't judge it on the merit of the change, they were just like, I should have been involved, they weren't involved, they didn't involve me, they should have been involved. And so I'm gonna give them grief, and, you know, it gets it takes longer than. We think it's gonna take if we go quick, is my only,
The only thing here versus a corporate setting is that the individual commissions have 100% authority over what they have jurisdiction. So as much as like, you know, may someone on planning and zoning want to weigh in, sure, they can weigh into public comment, piece, but they have no right or authority to be angered by not being involved. That being said, I think that if this was a complete rewrite where we're starting from scratch and trying to rewrite it, I think that'd be a little bit of a different situation. Here, the majority of comments and changes we've made so far is just cleaning up language and spelling words. So I think as we get through this and continue with that, I think in the end, when it's sent out for, I mean, in the end, you're gonna send it out to all the commissions. Most likely.
And I think even in draft form, there'll be, before it's
Right.
formally approved, it'll go out to all the commissioners.
And at that point, they can make a decision.
When you say all the commissions, like planning and zoning and.
Zoning board, conservation, just, that's what happens with the zoning regulations. I think you
Yeah, we got it.
you got a copy
Yeah,
to
yeah.
comment, same thing.
Okay.
so the last thing I wanted to ask about, we at one point had this idea that we're gonna get a grant and have somebody do it, a professional redo the book. Is that idea still in the background after we sort of give them our draft, or is that idea off the table because we're just doing it ourselves?
I think it's off the table, but it's kind of time constraints.
You have a target date for finishing it, so?
I mean, I think once we get through this beginning stuff, I think a lot of the stuff's gonna go a lot.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't be surprised if we were done by the fall,
Absolutely.
September.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the procedures are the touchiest part versus the
yeah,
actual design criteria or guidelines.
right, because a lot of that is what it is. I think there's gonna be more deletions than just deleting more paragraphs.
Right.
Or some,
Makes sense.
so I think this is the toughest stuff.
I agree.
And
Okay.
I think that'd be a reasonable. goal. Yeah.
All right, thanks for listening.
Yeah.
You can change your mind too if you want.
No, I mean, these are important.
Now or later.
conversations. I think they're good conversations. Are
Okay,
you controlling that camera or is that just
It
auto
just-
focusing?
Yeah, just autofocus.
Really?
Okay, just on 1.4 though, we'll just jump into this. So we did change construction not materially visible from public view.
oh, yeah.
So,
I wanted to comment on that a second.
sure,
So I've got too much. I like the word materials, and probably do too, because it's a lawyer word, or it's kind of like significant, or, you know, a little more different than negligible. And normally I'd like that word in our handbook, but since we often talk about materials, meaning materials of construction. Can we do something to make sure that those two aren't confused with each other?
well, so I said reasonably, and then you all push back.
Oh, well, sometimes
So-
both words are used together, or, I like reasonably a little better. I think that's okay with me. And material is a fine word. It's a little more legalistic, and I think layman would read it as thinking you're talking about what kind of. You know, brick
think if
or
it says-
wood or something.
Reasonably or materially, it's gonna come to you if there's any ambiguity.
I think material might be a little bit better too, because
Yeah.
I think reasonably. I think this.
Reasonably is very.
Objective,
Yeah, who's reason?
yeah, right,
Well, materially it's the same thing. It's
I
just
suppose.
lawyers get more involved.
But I think when I think of something reasonably, I think of like not jumping around, see it. I think material, it's like. Can I notice it and see it or not?
yeah,
I think that I almost think of like reasonably, like maybe I can see it, I think it's materially of like can't even see it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's right.
yeah.
So I would leave it materially, I think, and that's kind of what I
Okay.
would push back on.
That's good.
So. So we
So
deleted
where are
that.
you on I-4?
Yeah, I'm just running through what we did at the end
I
yesterday.
just see a list of contents on I-4.
So.
Oh, materially, right, construction not
Right.
materially visible from a public view.
But then we changed siding and roofing repairs that match existing materials because we deleted that whole or replaced 3 tab. We didn't care. We just said if it's a repair and it matches, then so be it. And then we deleted the business advertising signs such as the beer signs are regulated because it says they're regulated up top. So there's no point in saying that they weren't regulated. So we fixed spelling on fixtures. You fixed mailboxes into one word, which is fine.
What about new gutters, the historic gutters and that? Or
Yeah, you had asked about deleting that, Ted.
Well, here's my problem with historic gutters, Eric, is I thought they were the kind that they build a dam at the bottom of the roof line and then the water, runs down
Yeah.
to the dam and runs off. There's a couple of those in town. You said, well, it can also be the old wooden ones that are carved out of wood, and
Yeah,
they used to treat as a kid. I remember they used to put linseed oil in them every year.
yeah, or the yeah, but yeah,
Or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever. So if it's talking about, so now I'm getting to what kind of gutter are we talking about? Because I'm trying to keep in mind that people are gonna buy the book and try to figure out what they have to do. And so do we need to identify what?
Well,
a
I guess
historic
what
gutter is?
the point of this was that. If you want to put up new gutters on your house, you don't have to come to us, except if it's an historic gutter that you're moving to replace it. But the reality is there really aren't any historic gutters left. Rarely, so I'm kind of just like leave it. Like if you want to put up a new gutter, you don't.
Yeah, I think so too. You're saying that could they come to us and get permission with the way?
If they were gonna rip down the historic gutters.
Yeah,
I think leave it out to the people to decide what the historic gutter is. If they believe they have an historic. gutter,
yeah,
on their
okay.
list,
So,
that's
all right. All right, that works.
All right, so jumping into this free application piece. This still has to get flushed out because it still needs to go to that commission to just get an answer on whether we can do it the way we're doing it. Or we have to do it this new way. So I'm gonna run with it as if we're doing it the new way and then just kind of. We're gonna have to change it again later if they say something different.
You're talking about I-5, right?
Yeah.
There's no changes on I-5, though, are
I think the changes, can we stick to way we were doing it before FOIA, or is FOIA the new norm? Right?
Right. So what we changed to say, assuming that we have to follow this FOIA, this new FOIA piece. Is the pre-application meeting does not begin the statutory defined 65-day time period for consideration of an application. Unless it is specifically added to the agenda with an application number. So
where are you on with that?
I'm like 3/4 of the way through the first paragraph.
Okay. Since it's not right after that.
See what it says, consideration of an application,
Yeah,
and then.
I sure like the way we were doing it before. I think it's dumb the way we make a motion to talk about something.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of, historic consistency doing it the other way. And since you can't make a decision anyway, it seems
I agree.
like, okay, so you want to write in here that we don't have to have 3 applications on the agenda or make a motion to add them to the agenda?
No, I
It's-
think,
Yeah, I'm
actually,
sorry.
I'm not sure. think this might have been John's comment.
You know what I'd like to do, Eric, is just start doing it the old way and wait till somebody complains.
Well, they did.
Somebody did
Who
complain,
complained?
the town councilor doesn't like. It was a town councilor
Well, you didn't have
who
to
didn't like,
do that.
doesn't like. what
You could
we were
ignore
doing.
it.
I would like to ignore it, but
You got advice not to ignore it? I mean,
I got,
isn't it your call? What's gonna happen next if you don't follow the procedure
Yeah, there's a.
that he wants? I mean,
Town councilor didn't like the way. Who
Okay.
doesn't like the way we were doing it, because it was a violation of freedom of information.
in her opinion,
in her opinion, I think, I mean, I think she's
And
making a
that's-
suggestion to you.
she wasn't making a suggestion to the town manager.
The town manager told you
The
that.
town manager made a very pointed request.
Oh, well, that's got more authority than I think, I guess. All right, well, good for you.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree. I think it's ridiculous. I don't, so, but I think what a letter needs to do is just. Find the time to drop the letter, send it out before you should ask for an opinion.
Oh, ask for them to
Let
clarify.
decide. That's right. Because I agree, I don't think it particularly matters.
Okay. So you don't have wording for, oh, you do have wording or don't have wording for how to go back to the old way and
No, the only wording in there is just that the change was just the pre-application meeting does not begin the statutory defined 65-day time period for consideration of an application. Unless it is specifically added to the agenda with an application. Which I think that was John's comments, but I'm not really sure without him here of what he was trying to achieve by that. But you can't add.
you can't give them the certificate, so why start the clock?
Right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just delete that because I don't think it makes any sense. And if he walks in, he can comment, but. Because I had made a comment back and I said I didn't think that was a good idea, so.
And I think you're headed in the right direction to say we have a rule or procedure that says pre-apps are done the way we used to do them.
I think we need to get a
Really
answer on
explicit
that,
about
yeah.
So you don't have to do that other stuff.
At the end of second paragraph, the only comment I had was note that the commission. And I just changed, it said can make no final, I just said will not make a final.
Yeah, will not make the final decision.
Yeah,
During this
versus
pre-application.
can make no final.
Yeah.
Just sounded odd. I mean, I'm fine with the pre-application, what that's including, I think that was a big deal. There was some stuff on the next page, though. And this has to do with the application form, so this is where. The changes got a little more in depth.
Yes.
Yeah. So. It's the third paragraph down, a sample application form and sample notification placard follows in this section of the handbook, so we're okay with that.
So just for layman's term. Sample application form and the yellow sheet. Will be in the following section of this part of the handbook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good question, because that's, our applications are gonna change, or they've changed now, everything's gonna be online. So there aren't gonna be hard copies of application. So.
Well, we could still, you could probably still print what you fill in online, just so there's something there.
In a file,
Yeah. Like, if you open up like you get to fill it in, you just hit print page and we
yeah,
just throw it in.
I'll see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because we literally just went live today.
Okay.
If we got to change.
Maybe it
So,
can be a link,
yeah,
Some,
you know, that way it allows, you don't have to change the book every time you make a little change to the.
yeah, well, if that's the case, we'll change it.
Yeah.
To it.
This one,
So in addition to the completed application, a photograph of the posted placard placed in the front yard of the address, visible to the public, of the proposed regulated activity must be submitted with the supporting materials that delineate the proposed construction activity in sufficient detail for the historic district commission to render a decision as to appropriateness. That was the final.
the reason because it says. mean, it's an alliteration. Photograph of the posted placard placed in the front yard of the proposed, like 5 words with the letter P started. I mean, I don't care, but I just think it's,
Yeah, I mean, the photograph would be after because we're gonna get the application, determine that it's submitted, and then we give them the poster once they're put on the agenda.
Yeah, just as in addition to the completed application,
In addition to, okay,
yeah. So I'm okay with
yeah,
that.
no, that's good.
So this is, I agree.
So before we leave that though, I think it's kind of silly to comply on, but I think it's onerous and doesn't accomplish anything.
The placard,
People, I mean, they take a photo, they put the thing up, take a photo, take it down.
I mean, I'm fine with just saying must be placed in the yard.
If the photo, if it moves away, if it gets destroyed, if it's part of the construction, if the wind takes it, if the pranksters move it. What I'm getting at is, are we gonna say somebody, we denied their application because somebody said, hey, I
Yeah.
didn't see their placard?
So I would be fine in just changing it to in addition to the completed application. A posted placard placed in the front yard of the address visible to the public. The proposed activity must be submitted with this. Must be placed.
You don't need a photograph.
I think it's better without a photograph. But this whole paragraph, Eric, I can tell you where, just generally where I'm coming from.
I know what's gonna happen. A neighbor's gonna be like, well, they didn't have it.
I know, and
It's
then maybe
not-
they did
yeah.
it for a minute or not, and what I'm worried about is we'll have to deny some because somebody saw that it wasn't there for a minute, and you go, everything else is perfect about this. And if you're the applicant, you're like, wait a minute, we had a tornado come through and it took the placard 3 houses over, and now you're telling me I can't? And we have some, purists on our group that will say, yep, you didn't have it up, it doesn't count. And I'm trying, and I have this same theme through this whole thing, Eric. I want us to retain some judgment and
Yeah.
adjudicating those kind of things. You know what I mean? So.
yeah,
I wanna
from
make good
the
rules,
whole
but I
reason, I think it was just for more information and just not that it would be, I mean, it's not required by state statute.
Right,
So it's in the guide or in the handbook and it's, an extra layer of advertising.
Yeah.
So it's not legally required. So it's something that you want to implement to as really and more information to the citizens
Yeah.
and if it blows away or does this or that, it was up. But if they're here and they're talking about it, then they know about it.
and I want to have a little latitude so that
That's a good
people that
point.
we think
Yeah.
are being not good, we can hold a little
Yeah.
tighter to
I-
the
because-
fire, and people that we think are.
Again, just from experience,
And
because I do this in the borough and I give them the placard and it's up. It's rarely a problem.
Okay,
It's,
So in addition to the completed application, a placard must be placed in the front yard of the address, visible to the public, that delineates the proposed construction activity in sufficient detail. Period.
Yeah. That, and we just did that for these applications today. So we did
yeah,
Susan printed it up and, typed it in.
yeah, I saw them out at the
Yeah,
property.
right. And then laminated them. So they're very clear. And it says exactly what it says, and for the legal ad and gives the
that
address,
text, they
gives
get
there's something,
supplied
gives
that
the date,
text?
and it's enough information for someone's interested.
Yeah, it's the same as the legal ad text. That was my
Yeah.
other part. What's enough specifics?
That's enough. I mean, it's really that there's something happening.
Yeah, it's the siding or it's windows or
Exactly.
whatever. So,
Yeah.
So
okay, good.
I'm just keeping notes. I mean, you have the final draft in front of you, but.
Yeah.
So I wrote a posted placard placed in front of the yard and the address with the details of the proposed construction activity.
In addition to the completed application, a placard must be placed in the front yard of the address, visible to the public, that delineates the proposed construction activity in sufficient. At a
Is it worth
minimum,
adding front yard or visible?
Why do you say visible? If someone's house is very close to the street.
Some of the
put it in
stores,
window.
they put it in their window, I guess, or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I want the placards up, so I don't have a front yard, so I guess I don't have to do this. But I don't want them to get it too legalistic.
Say visible to the public from the street.
a placard must be placed in a location visible to the public that delineates the proposed construction activity.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
At a minimum, supporting materials listed in the following table, and this is what it says, this is where it's gonna, it gets back to like. Supporting materials listed in the following table, and I think this was John's, are required to be included with the submission of a completed application. Failure to provide all supporting materials as listed will make the application incomplete and the commission shall not vote on the application. So this is where you're gonna make a decision. Hardliner, or you wanna make it more open. There's two very strong arguments.
I want us to have some judgment. Because I don't want to put somebody off that has a perfectly good thing they want to do. And they didn't turn in one piece of required stuff that doesn't even matter to that particular application.
Yeah, like I think the GIS map is silly, like. At this point, like, I don't know, half the time we're just looking up.
We can always make up examples of
Yeah.
one where that thing didn't matter to this application. They didn't have that thing. Now we say you got to come back in 2 weeks to put that thing in.
It would seem
And I think
because of the
that's-
intent of the historic district, those photographs are more valuable than any site plan or GIS permit. Because that's what you're looking.
We're looking for a good application, so we know what it is.
Yeah.
I want to keep us in the driver's seat of saying this was good enough or this wasn't good enough. And so we can still have some compassion to the applicant and do the historic piece. I don't want to always get them on procedure. I think the town would hate that.
You don't want to gotcha.
Stories would go, they didn't mind my thing. They said I couldn't do it because my placard blew away and, or,
Well, then you just continue it to the next meeting.
well, I know we say that, but I've
Yes.
heard on the other end, they go, I had contractors lined up, stuff in my driveway, a wedding coming.
As a minimum, the supporting materials listed in the following table are required to be included in the submission.
That's the same thing. I mean, in a way. 'Cause you're saying-
No,
You can,
read it-
you can
read it.
add something that gives yourself an out that says the commission can determine what's sufficient. Depending
Well,
on it.
can we
per
Well,
say
yeah, that, like it said before, though, the problem is we just can't delete the whole next sentence that said,
failure
the
to
commission reserves the right to request any additional stuff beyond what was required. Or waive any required information that deems necessary or unnecessary to make a determination. That sentence in the original handbook, I think, is perfect. In the new handbook, it took out that we can waive some of the required materials.
So,
And I think that's a big mistake.
so we go to the sentence, failure to provide all supporting materials as listed. It says will make. Can we
Like,
change it to may make?
No, because I think the problem is at a minimum, the supporting materials listed in the following table are required to be included with the submission of a completed.
The original said that same thing. So far we haven't changed anything.
Right, but I guess what you're saying is, you're saying at a minimum, the stuff in the table is required. And then you're saying failure to provide.
Hey, John.
If you're saying it's required, and then no matter what you're saying after that, whether you're saying. It shall not vote, you're still saying the first thing is required. So if it's required, you have to do it. It's.
And the
it's-
second
it's
sentence
tough.
says if they don't do it, we can decide whether we want to proceed or not.
We're on 1-6. All right. Or I-6, sorry.
You
I
know,
mean,
you
you
could
could
change
always-
the first sentence. I understand what you're saying. You're saying, why say it's required and then say you get that not necessarily.
At a minimum,
Because they
supporting.
Submit everything. It's to submit a full application.
You could do this. At a minimum, the supporting materials listed in the following table are required to be included. Included with the submission of a completed application. Failure to provide all supporting materials as listed. And you can just change it to may make,
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Will.
may make the application. Incomplete and the commission may not vote on the application. I'm trying to leave a little bit of leeway. So that. It's not like it's like someone's, there's two arguments both ways. Either you say you require everything, and then someone comes back and says, you didn't. You didn't take all the documents like happened. Right. And therefore it's all wrong and procedurally wrong, something's invalidated. Or you got the other argument, which is. You don't require anything, and then someone comes in and says, we didn't require anything.
Right.
So
That's good wording. I get it.
If you say something like it is definitely required, then you approve something and someone appeals it and said you didn't follow your own rules, you could kind of pigeonhole yourself.
But that's what the may
Yeah,
That's
May-
that saves it, yeah.
The
I
May,
would think that
the
was,
May gives us the leeway.
So I know I'm more of the stickler here. I personally think it's better to require more and keep it all.
I think we're saying at a minimum, everything in the table is required. With a submission of a completed application.
Got it.
Failure to provide all the supporting materials as listed may make the application incomplete. And the commission may not vote on the application. I guess it leaves open the ability for us to make a decision. So hypothetically, if someone's like, I want to put a new railing on the front of the Baptist church. I think everyone here is going to know the front of the Baptist church. Should we require photos? Sure, but like, do we really know the Baptist church? So, yeah. We walk by it, right, it's there, like, we know. So it's not like someone could say, well, you didn't follow your own rule because you didn't require it. Well, we didn't do the choice. So I think I think you're telling people, hey, bring more than less. But if we decide to accept less, which we just need to be careful with, then it's okay. So I think,
But doesn't this also, like, there was an application last session that someone didn't have a list of materials for one aspect of the job. And we said they can submit it. We approved it as long with the caveat stipulation that they were gonna.
yeah, that's fine.
So doesn't that give us
Yeah.
the same leeway? That's all.
The only thing I added later was electronic presentation through an iPad or iPhone is problematic and should be discouraged unless copies of photos or presentation materials are included in the app. Just basically, don't bring your phone and say it's. And then you want to delete this again, no application shall be deemed officially received. Photograph of the posted placard is not included. And the photograph of the placard. Which is saying put the placard up.
I think it's gonna be put the placard up.
So his suggestion, Tom's suggestion is just accept the placard. You're saying that people don't put the placard. That's what you're saying.
no, they do. I'm saying it doesn't get ripped down or blown away or.
Well, so I mean, to bring up something that just hit the paper, the house in Stonington, where they're saying the placard blew away, so nobody knew about it until they started building the rooftop deck.
Well, it didn't really blow away. I mean, it was there, so.
Right, I'm just saying what I read in the paper, so I'm just saying, do we want to go down that rabbit hole? I think there's gonna be proof that the placard was up.
I think the only problem is if someone's gonna be malicious, they're gonna put the placard out, they're gonna take a photo, they're gonna send it, they're gonna rip the placard down and throw it in the garbage. So
Well,
just
I mean,
because-
yeah, there's right, but you just gotta do the best you can to cover your bases.
Which I think is just saying, normally I agree with you on this kind of stuff, but I think just saying is don't put the placard up. I think you're gonna get more,
Alright.
more people that just do it.
I just come from the school of thought that 100 years from now, somebody can pull our file and know exactly what we did and why we did it. Yes, we all know what the Baptist church is. Yes, we all know this, but I use the word legal document. This is not maybe a legal document that should stand on its own. Somebody that's never been the Mystic, that doesn't know any of us, never been the Groton, should be able to take it and say,
No, I know, but
This
if
makes
if
sense.
you're saying that someone put the placard up. What difference is the photograph of the placard?
true, I see what you're saying.
I think that's a layer that. Because, like, of Eric's example, if someone could take a photograph and then rip it down. That's the extreme, but 99% of the people we deal with are not.
There's no way to 100% monitor this because other than driving by every day or taking a photograph every day.
Right.
Yeah, there's, at some point, you just have to.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's just delete the sentence and just say the application shall be deemed officially, or if it's deemed officially received as the date of the next regular meeting, and just go back to it. So, getting into these application requirements. Instead of going through these one by one, was there anything that stood out to anyone?
Can I just go back?
Yeah.
The part, this is just, dumb question. I'm still confused and I'm on the commission. When does the 65 days start?
When the application is accepted, correct?
Accepted, yeah.
Accepted here?
No, wait, I'm sorry. It's different for HTC.
No,
It's-
accepted at the next meeting after you get it. clock starts at the next meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I wrote.
So if you,
No,
Do we need
I'll
to-
check that because it's different than normal cycles.
so
the
can we
application-
explicitly say that somewhere?
We
in
do.
here?
the application shall be deemed officially received as of the date of the next regular meeting of the commission. And the commission shall schedule a public hearing and render a decision as to appropriate those no later than 65 days after such official.
I just read that, and that's why I'm asking the question, because that's confusing.
So if
The
some,
wording is confusing. I guess.
Someone submits, today at 5 p.m. It's received today. If someone submits tomorrow at 8 a.m., it's received in the next meeting.
Is
That's
that
how-
right?
Yeah,
Really?
you're receiving the application.
we don't get the, don't get.
But it has to give public notice too, and that requires, has to be early enough for that to happen.
Mhm.
I thought that when it first got on the agenda is when the clock started on.
No, well,
That's
So
another way to read what Eric just
things
said.
move pretty quickly here. We get them on the agenda pretty fast. Have
No,
to.
but you, to your, I see what you're saying, I agree. So if someone walked into the office at 4:59, they handed you an application, the 65-day clock will start tonight, even though we didn't know anything about it, or would start at the next meeting.
It would be, I'll double check that.
It should
but
be the next meeting.
Whenever it's the next meeting, it would be, you received it here, the next meeting
here, look.
in 2 hours.
This topic's talked about in the state.
Yeah, it's
And
at the
it's
state
also
level.
talked about in the town ordinance, so we should just read that language, make sure we're
Yeah, it's-
consistent with it.
But I'm not trying to change anything. I'm just trying to be Joe citizen.
Yeah, clear
and,
about what it
and
is.
better, because that's,
We've never not followed this.
okay,
So.
I'm just.
The most interesting thing about the 65 days is if we don't decide on it, it gets approved.
Right.
If that makes it, like, wow, okay, so it's up to us to make sure we're paying attention.
Right, like all of these applications for today were submitted and advertised, and today is day one.
Today's their day one, that's what I think, how I've read it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you're good, however you want to clarify that, you know exactly what it's supposed to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying that means, to me. That section needs clarification at some point.
I agree. So I'll just highlight it as a question. It should, you're right, it should just be clear. So anyways, instead of going through all these application requirements one by one, anything that you want.
I talking page 7,
Yeah, did anyone see anything that stood out?
not to me.
You asked about the Indian and Colonial
Yeah.
Research Center. I think that's still,
Is that, I
In
just
Old
said, is
Mystic.
that still in existence?
It is, Stony says it's called the Old Mystic Historical Center now. It's changed its name, so we should probably update that.
Old Mystic Historical Center.
I believe that's what it's called. We looked it up.
Is that old with an E?
No,
The old mystic.
Old Mystic History Center.
Those are the ones that are open like Tuesday from like 1 to 1:45.
Yes,
Yeah, that's right.
10 to 4, sir. And now Thursday to 10 to 4, they've increased their hours. Did
They have a gala coming up, you guys.
they really?
Yeah, 50-year gala.
Nice. When's that?
The old mystic or the?
I don't know, I'm a member of it. You guys aren't, you should be.
I live right down the road from it. I really
That's
should
the
be.
Mystic River. That's a
Oh, the
different-
Mystic
that-
River Historical.
Oh, you're
Society.
Mystic
That's
River.
a different one.
Wasn't that the one we're talking about?
No, the old
Oh,
Mystic.
Oh, okay. All right, got it.
Yeah.
Next thing here, that's like as big as half, a quarter of this. room.
That's the old bank. It's the
Oh,
old
that's
Mystic
one,
Bank,
yeah, I know that building, sure.
Okay, so
No, yours.
Did you have any on that page, Eric?
no, so 1.8 is the application, but we're gonna just skip that because.
Yeah, sure.
They just changed it today.
Well, the other piece I like about, we're only coming on 1.7, that's why I like us to have a little bit. More discretionary language in the submittal process, because some of this, if you've got literal about it, you say, oh, wait, you didn't have a scale 1/4 to 1 inch for this particular application, and that the thing said that's required.
It
says recommended.
Recommended.
All these are all recommended.
No, but on
On
the, that
it says
says,
application requirements, but
If you look
supporting
right here.
materials.
Look right here.
Yeah.
1 inch to, yeah, is recommended.
I know, but the way John reads some things.
That's why we're good. I'm literally you're not. Balance for the community.
Okay. so
That's why I think
All
to
right,
be on the
so I gotta
board back
pick
in the
one
day.
out
The only
So the
one,
one above it doesn't say recommended.
so it's the only that
You see
one.
what I mean? There's
Yeah.
a couple of them that you go like, they
We
didn't
should
do it
add
to the
five.
right scale, or they're gonna get caught up on that.
So what if we just did this, anywhere it says at a minimum scale of, and I'll just add is recommended at.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And they're all consistent, so. Okay, so again, 1.8, we're gonna skip because you're gonna get us the actual application now. All right, application procedures, so 1.9, I deleted any person may request in writing to be notified of any pending meetings. Because I don't,
Does that even exist today? If I send you a
for-
letter, you gotta send me a
There's
letter. every time.
emails, they do that for planning and zoning. There's like an email blast that goes out. People can be added to them.
I think since it exists for PCNC, we just updated to say maybe email. You know, whatever your procedure is. I think transparency is important. I don't think we want to take that
That makes
away.
sense about everything's on the town website
Yeah.
instead, so, you know, they can.
People want to
find
know,
it.
they can look it up.
Like, yeah,
But if you do it for PZNC, why wouldn't you do it for here? It already exists, right? It's not like we're adding,
I think
right? So why don't we?
I
look
wouldn't
at
do
that?
it, yeah. Building text.
I just don't think. I'm just not sure. There's any value to that. Personally.
It's probably hardly used, but I don't think we want to. Cut out any type of transparency or accessibility. That's just me personally.
So
You know, maybe there's a person that's not computer savvy. It's like,
You know, the other thing is, it may be. So
Oh, yeah.
I guess
There you
just
go,
leave
check
it, and,
So are you putting that back in?
yeah, we'll just.
What is,
You made a comment about include town website for meeting agendas and applications.
yeah. Does it say, can we at least make note that there's electronic notification as opposed to just handwritten?
I agree with you 100%. I think it should be written and electronic,
Written or and or.
but to the extent that it already exists, I'm not saying we have to reinvent the wheel and create a new process. If they're already doing it for planning and zoning and they can do it here, then I think that's fine. In my opinion.
But you were trying to say to include something that's in the website.
That's the electronic version.
right, I mean-
May request in writing to be notified of any pending meetings, or they may. Look it up.
I mean, there's just a lot more, since COVID, there's a lot more stuff available online to people. That before COVID, they'd have to go to the town hall to see the detailed drawings somebody was gonna wanna build on their. Addition, right? And now they can go online, look it up and go like, okay, I see the plans.
Okay, so let's just,
So I wanna direct them to use computer resources rather than coming to the town hall filing system.
And that's even gonna change now with our new permitting system.
Right. But I think keeping it broad and open, electronic, written, again, to the extent that it already exists.
so why don't you just add us in as meeting information and applications for upcoming. Public hearing. Hearings. Are available. On the town. Town of Groton. It's easy enough. By law, Commissioner. I want to add any issue with the rest of that language, right? I'll just have the website too. So jumping on to hearing procedures.
110.
Yeah. Any comments? Oh, I thought this was interesting. In the third paragraph, the Historic District Commission may vote on an application upon completion of said hearing. Or may elect to defer such a vote until later in the same meeting. Or to subsequently scheduled regular meeting or if necessary to a specially scheduled meeting. I'm fine with all this stuff, but maybe on an application on the completion of said hearing, so. I thought we don't want to go to consideration. Is that what that means, or does that mean?
On completion of the public hearing?
Yeah,
Yeah, when you close the public hearing, then.
is that all it's saying?
Another one of those wordiness.
I think it
Well,
just kind of gives us options. So either we
it
do it at the
sounds like
close of
we
the
could-
hearing, we can say, hey, maybe it's old business, we want to defer it till then, or. We continue it to another one. That's how I'm reading it. Is that?
Because
how
you,
you're taking
because you
it?
can close the public hearing and continue the decision to the next meeting.
Yeah, I got the feeling it was saying you could stop the public hearing, deliberate on that public one right then.
Yeah.
Vote on it,
Yeah.
then go to topic application B. You know, have them
Right.
present that, close that, vote on that one. You know, we go do all five of them.
Yeah.
Then we go and vote on all five, now deliberate on all five. That's how I interpret that paragraph. So I think you have the option of doing it either way.
Yeah.
And
Which
it's written,
I'm fine with. I think it's better to leave, to leave it.
so leave it that way. You can
Because the
choose to
committee
do it
10
any way you
years from
want.
now, when it want to.
Right. Plus there's some
Hear it,
disagreement on
vote,
what's
hear it,
covered under
vote,
Robert
hear it.
rules of order and FOI, so.
We just can't vote until it's closed. As long as we close it.
Yeah,
Then we can take it up then, take it up later.
The idea here is that the applicant can't talk anymore, and that's the important part, I guess.
Yeah.
No new information can be submitted.
Right.
Unless you reopen the public.
You have to
Right,
read it.
yeah, you can do, I guess.
But you can't continue with other business until you finish.
Right, that's what the last sentence
Yeah.
says. On completion of all public hearings and votes. Then we can go on to other business.
The last paragraph, did you have some comments about? Your choice to vote or not vote, because that raised that one issue.
What are you talking about, Eric?
So. John chooses to abstain.
Oh, right.
Right, you're talking about if there's a minimum of 3 commission members?
Yeah.
Well, if there's a minimum of 3, you need 3 to pass. So
Right.
it doesn't matter if it's no or an
So I
abstention.
see what he's saying. So I mean, the condition this commission's in right now, it's barely got enough people to operate.
Right.
So let's say Ted calls and
If there's
On
only three
vacation
of us
next
and
time,
one
it's the three of
abstains,
us.
What happens?
What you can do is you tell the applicant, you have to have, it has to be a 3-0 vote. If you're not comfortable with that, wait till the next meeting.
got it. Okay.
So, yeah.
Just
So if
make-
there's
Let's
three of
let's
us,
sure the
it's not-
applicant knows,
not
like it's gotta be
two-
unanimous.
2 yeses and an abstain
Doesn't
doesn't pass.
pass.
Even though it's
Correct.
the majority of the,
Has to be at
But
least
it's
3.
not a quorum. It has to be
No,
3.
no, it would pass because
it's
it's
the majority of the voting members,
Right.
and like 3 is a quorum.
right.
But you need 3 per quorum. so
No,
it'd
it
be
has to be a
non-quorum
majority
vote.
of seats. So if you only have 3, you have to have.
It has to be all 3.
3-0.
If it's 4, it has to be 3. You need 3 for a quorum.
No, if you abstain,
Yeah,
it
I'm
counts
not-
as a no.
Counts as a
So
no.
it'd be 2 versus 1. The problem is if you have 4 and there's a no, an abstention and 2 yeses, then you don't have a majority.
Right.
That was the
You
issue.
you need 3, because if
Right.
you do it in ZBA, we need to have a supermajority in ZBA, and so if there's 4, they have to have all 4.
Well, so I guess we're in that position. You guys have to.
Well, I think it's worth
persuade
researching
my
because
opinion a
I'm
different
interpreting
way.
like you are.
No, you don't need all. You need to have 3.
Can I, where does it say that? I'm not,
It's in the state statutes,
okay,
with how much.
should it be
It's a-
stated here, is the question. Should it be stated in our hand?
It's informational for the people that are applying for HTC, so it should be, but it should reflect the state statute. So whatever the state statute is. it should be.
So I think that's a good point. If it's a state statute, that
It needs to be worded into
The
it.
applicant,
So, yeah, I want to
applicant-
research that, because I'm not sure we got it right.
So, well, according to John Burr, that is right. So we've gone through this before. It's got to be three on a
Gotta be
three.
3 yeses.
Yeah.
No. It has to be majority of the members present. Voting.
Right, but it's a quorum of three, so there's only three. You need all three.
but if there's
That would be
five,
majority.
Uh,
A majority of the two versus.
2 out of
But-
3 is a
the-
majority.
you need a quorum to vote. So if there's not three, there's no quorum. So that's.
There's 3, the guy's voting, he's abstaining from voting. because he's
So personally, I agree with you, but I've been told no.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so-
well, I gotta look it up too. I gotta satisfy
so
myself.
we need four.
No.
No, I'm really confused.
So technically, let's say only 3 of us show up.
Yeah.
That's all we need to have a quorum to conduct the meeting.
Okay.
But if a vote comes, and let's say it was the 2 in favor, and I abstain, then it's technically, my understanding, not a quorum vote, so not a ballot, it's not a vote to pass. Even though it's a
You need all
majority,
three.
you need all three.
So abstaining's like recusing yourself from the vote? Same
No,
idea?
Technically,
I don't think that's right, because you could,
So if it's 2-1,
if you recuse
2 to
yourself,
1, if it's a 2-1,
if you recuse yourself, you're not voting. It's a majority of the members voting. An abstention is a no. So
Or it's not a pro vote.
I think we just need to check that.
We need to check it.
yeah, so it would come back to
I
that.
guess it's been checked, but I need to check it.
Do you want to call quits there? No?
yeah, we're at the end of the page, I-10. It's a good place to stop.
Bottom of page 10.
Yeah.
Are we stopping there?
Yeah.
Good, progress.
We did.
You guys probably figured out there's another meeting going on right now.
Yeah. We'll call this meeting, so.
We'll close this.
Yeah, just close
Yeah.
this one and.
Oh, wait, we got one more thing to do, Phil, on the agenda for the meeting, we're just closing, not quite closed yet.
Oh, you
right?
need to.
There's minutes on the agenda,
The minutes of the special meeting for
the
the
minutes of the special meeting, they're fine, I move that we accept the minutes of the special meeting last June 20th.
I'll second. All in favor?
I give it a try.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
Keats and I,
Minutes are approved.
It's 2 minutes still.
Just take 2 minutes. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some to drink.
oh, that's right. If there's 3 of you, okay, yeah,
Thank you.
That's Robert's rules.
It is.
Yeah.
So we are ruled by Robert's rules, unless there's special rules to. You've been
oh, yeah,
involved,
actually, I see what you're
Robert.
saying there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so, unless there's special rules that we can counter them, then we revert Robert's rules and orders.
Yeah, good one, okay, good one, John. You learn something new every day.
Do you need to stop recording or you?
Hey, Peter.
I've aged 10 years.
You have that one wired up to an injector.
Oh, no, I stay out of them.
Do you have that call thing? Yeah.
What did they send us did they send us who sent us the agenda? Is that Lauren? Where'd it come from?
Subbing in for Todd Brady today. It's my goal to one day.
Are you,
It's my goal to be Todd Brady one day, so I'm gonna practice
they
today.
can call you Bill Brady.
Bill Brady. You tell me when, Ross.
Let's look this up. All right, we'll call this meeting of the Historic District Commission to order at 7:03 PM. I will see Goodrich as a full member and Keatsman as a full member.
Town of Groton notice of public hearing, Historic District Commission. The Historic District Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 18th, 2023 at 7 PM. At the Groton Town Hall Annex 134 Groton Long Point Road and virtually via the Zoom platform to hear the following applications requesting a certificate of appropriateness. HDC 23-35, 42 High Street, Peter Springsteel applicant, Thomas and Geraldine Tabor owners, siding and window replacements pin 261918303096. HDC 23-36, 1 Noack Road, Peter Springsteel applicant, 1 Noack Road LLC, owner and siding and window replacements pin 261806394674. HDC 23-37, 30 West Mystic Avenue, Stephen Castanero, owner applicant installation of AC and heat pump pin 2618-052-80392. HDC 23-38, 15 Water Street, Drawbridge LLC, Bailey Pryor owner, applicant, removal of stone steps, replace exterior door with window, pin 261918306108. HDC 23-39, 37 Water Street, Laura Cronholm, applicant HDL Marina LLC, owner, installation of signage for kayak rental, pin 261806396586. Zoom meeting link will be posted to the town's website meetings calendar. Applications are on file and available for public inspection during normal business hours at the planning department, 134 Groton Long Point Road, Groton, Connecticut, dated the 11th day of July 2023 at Groton, Connecticut. Todd Brady, well, Bill Ferguson, secretary.
Thank you. I'm gonna waive the hearing procedures. They're that yellow paper over there. If anyone wants to read it, they can take a look. And we'll jump right in. HTC 23-35, 42 High Street. Gross.
Okay, Peter Springfield, architect, 5 Star Street Estate. Here tonight, representing and building Taylor. Property in question is 42 High Street. And 42 High Street, we have it in location up here. You sit up on top of the hill. Between the road and the north. There's some existing conditions. We're proposing to replace the windows in this house. And then replace the siding in the rear of them. See the house is yellow, white trim, and to the back, all white. That's I believe on the side of the fiber cement, fiber cement. Really not. So these are the elevations of the existing building. There's kind of a mix of different style of windows. There's 2 and 2, there's 46. There's the basement windows. So when you replace these windows with a new firewall, and we're proposing to use more elevate windows with the final flat wood. So most of the windows are just like the light and the rotation and the top. Really, the one difference is in the back of the building. It's very beautiful. So you can see the new windows are all been 2 over 2. This triple group here is posted to the facing. That's in place with the basement side. Those are blue, and then the 2 windows down here. Those are changed up this one down here. It's still with the morning window, but it's got the rest of the windows are all just size of the former front of that house is the elevation there. Right. And again, these are all 6 over 6 inches.
Can I cut you off a little second? So in the file. Yeah. Existing.
The same. Nice. Is that from Morrison? I don't know.
It's what's in the file. And it's what's in the agenda package too, Peter.
So that, those must be the ones you can do.
It's the same, that's my.
Right.
Yeah,
Because it hasn't been.
Okay, so can we take them back?
Okay. Okay, that's-
That's right. I just go through this out.
It's one of the. So on the other side, again, the windows are all same size. Proportion. In some cases, we may have to replace casings or. Replicate casings. And we. I've done my material system here. Climate planning, exterior. And submitting my notes. Where required. UPSC and other training modeling of the. I'm gonna have a little here on the new. Slide. This is on bigger. And it's gonna be on the.
looks like a new, a little expanded porch and stairway too. Are you talking about
That
that?
was something we may be coming at a later date.
Oh, okay.
And if all of it informally, just to invite it. I really have to move it around. So that's not.
So the online package, the pictures were the same, but weren't they? I mean, I was a little confused.
No, it's just, for some reason.
The harder it
things
is.
Proposed are the exact same, so we just know that say not.
Okay.
Just what's in there, and we can take those. So. Anything else? So no other comments, questions? Does anyone in the audience have anything to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? All right, HTC 23-35 is closed. HTC 23-36, 1 Noack Road.
And here is Springfield architect. Here tonight representing Vic Fairburn, who is here. One line road. Very historic building. See here. So what we're proposing to do here is move on the siding, the asphalt siding. And along with that, we're going to replace some windows. Two scenarios, one is sort of like utilized for the view. That's the- Well, and that's pretty much what that was. So this is the demonstration in the building as it sits today. So it's just, we're gonna, walk on the park. But this is the main windows, they're probably removed, allocated over here. That's what we're looking at here. Side by side. So these are the two important facades. This one is facing. Today. And this one facing east. The marinas and the. Since today. Down here, we knew those that are 6. These will also be more of an elevated. Right. So this is our new penetration facing. It's there for this is the dining room, this is the living room. This is probably the one that's something that dining room. Got a nice view there, so we're looking at height. We have a more regularized segment. Facing towards downtown district. Second floor of shorter windows. And on this main body here.
Why is it double window in the gable? Right, don't listen with the double out of curiosity.
Those are gonna be bedrooms up there, so they're very. These will probably have to be, basement windows. The, walls camper.
So I mean, the same reason we've got the double window up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Got one of those, this is based in style, I don't really see this facade. Very much in the- We've added a French door to these nice. It's really hard to know about that. Backyard. I think the windows separated. And regular pattern are. And then this spot is the. And you can see this a little bit The shingles on the roof are existing, so. Um. The trim. I haven't taken from the city. I don't know if it's that's hardcore. So that would be the same for the window facing, the door facing, the rate. Fascia, the soffit, that would all be in the wood. Stained white cedar shingle siding, but frozen. Vinyl clad wood, marble color windows. Stimulated to vinyl light. And then our doors, I have them as painted fiberglass, but you want those to look good. No, painted fiberglass, door through plastic wrap.
My only question, just because of the way it's presented online, you have a 101. That three-dimensional model. So A101 that came across on for the public is the old version, but you're again not submitting that. You're submitting that with the Windows stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm fine. Okay.
That's good. That's great. Can I just ask a question on, is it just my eye? Is this centered?
Intention is that it's,
Okay, or line up, but I guess. Yeah, I guess that's a better view. Sorry. We just bought this. It's bothering me. Yeah.
Questions?
I love this version compared to the other version. You presented.
I agree with Bill 100%, actually. I was gonna save that for later, but
Oh, okay.
really aesthetically pleasing.
I love this version compared to what's there now.
I'll fold it, put it in.
Okay, anyone in the audience have anything to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? HDC 23-36 is closed. HDC 23-3730 West Mystic Avenue. Close.
Mr. Pestagaro, you're up.
30 West. Mystic. Yeah. I did it right. I don't see.
Eric probably keep talking.
I'll give it to you. Yeah, you can just.
Screening is a screen. And we want-
What are you planning to do with plantings, Stephen? Yeah, personally, I don't think it needs to be screened. I know, but we have a difference of opinion. I mean, my own house isn't screened. Eric's house got one on the side, isn't screened. One neighbor of yours got one that was screened, that was approved. All these that I'm talking about have been approved by the agency. So we've approved about 30 of them in the last 3 years. Only one of them out of those 30 has been screened, so I'm not in favor of us requiring screening unless it's really ugly. And this application doesn't look really ugly to me, but I'm commenting too early to get to finish your application.
This is the street.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm glad your wife picked out a nice plant. I think that would be nice. I'm not saying don't get plants. But
Unfortunately, planning is the one thing we can't require
plant-
screening.
Yeah, the planning's, yeah, you're right.
It can be
I'm mentioning
removed.
the planning isn't, they're not supposed to be considered by us in terms of hiding features versus permanent structures, but I think they still effectively will do that. And so that's why I'm saying I don't think it needed it, though I'm happy to see that you would put some plants.
Warehouse. See this map?
Yeah.
You would have it maybe. Contact. You. The next one out. No, garage isn't coming out now. This is-
What's
I know,
the
I just got
address?
dogwood approval. I'm sorry.
What's the address?
It's the White House.
How long ago?
See the back. This just went in.
They came about a year, a while ago, year and a half,
Yeah, when they bought it.
maybe 2 years ago.
They just went in.
It's a beautiful plant, just plants we can't consider. That's the issue.
I think we have our own internal debate on whether we should screen it or not screen it. To your point. mine not screened,
Yeah. Oh, with structures. So I won't mention that anymore then.
No, we know yours isn't screened. I've written that down.
But it's written, it's screened with plantings.
Yeah,
Actually,
keep that.
so it's, you know, I looked over the last 30 to see, what. For the last 3 years, we've
I
done,
think for what it's
done a lot of.
it's in the rear corner of the house. It's
Yeah, I think when it's far enough back. I also
I think we
think,
need to have a discussion.
yeah, we've discussed it a lot, I guess. I think they help the fight with climate change. That's another big one. So,
The only question is just the line sets that come off of it. That's just gonna go into the basement, I'm assuming. Or is it gonna run? Yeah.
Outside.
So they'll run around the corner and go up the back? Okay.
The questions he's asking, they're not. for public view, Right? They're in the back.
I'm
good. That's great.
Appreciative of the.
I'm good. All right, you all set? Yeah. Anyone in the audience have anything to say in support of the application? Anyone against the application? All right, HTC 23-37 is closed. HTC 23-38, 15 Water Street. Nope. Not right.
You have this one.
How are you?
Previously, we were talking about.
Just say your name again, David.
So we're gonna put the and the first was to correct the foundation. This is what's currently explained. After we move those steps out of it, just to show you the well. And we kind of think about Thompson, where the cuts, after it's done, basically, they have the five, get, pieces of it. They know what else is very blocks. So we're going to be back to the step. It's gonna look more like this. It is actual stone, but I was going to take the right pieces. And then that would probably the second item is the concept of replacing this door with a window. And I go to nowhere. Steps out. I mean, this is what it would look like here. All these voids are exactly the same size. So you have to ensure that you have to do that. And then it's always good to know that.
So I thought there were 3 steps originally. 1 step remains. I mean, three doorway.
There were 3 doorways. This is the second doorway. It has the same component as this. You're just doing exactly the same thing.
Oh, so 1 doorway already got kind of fixed up,
No, there's the front door that we're doing now.
right?
This is a door to nowhere, and if you come over to nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
There used to be a stairway on the second.
Right.
So there was 1 step there.
Yeah.
And then we have 2 steps that were under this, is now this door.
Yeah.
Here. That's the bigger one, and that's the big. So we're just talking, it looks similar to this, it's a lot better even when you notice it.
So you're turning 2 doors to 2 windows.
No.
1 door to 1 window. Oh, yeah, I get the foundation. I understood that part. I was curious about the,
This one will be one you guys last time I was here, you said don't touch that.
oh, that door.
Yeah.
So you're just fixing the other door.
Yeah, so this is what it will look like.
Got it.
So we're only
got it.
replacing this one. This door staying.
All right, I think in your presentation, you put block, and that's what I was.
No, I'm-
confused about. So now.
Yeah, it's like a C, that's the door that's there. And then on this building. This is the door you're making them do. This door, this space.
But that one is still unusable, right?
Yeah.
Couple steps up. I guess it's fine, but I'm curious why you just didn't fix both unused doors and make them look like windows. Oh, we did?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that.
Also, it's a slightly different gauge.
Okay.
You can see here, so these 3 are exactly the same width. Okay. And then these 2 spots are the same. So that it might unbalance the thing.
I don't have it. I think it looks better than it does today, so.
Well, I mean, I have some comments too, and I think some of them may have, just did have a public communication that ties into this. So when we get to voting on that, so we can for them, but. Well, it's a public communication, not about this, but about this building. So there was actually public communication / possibly enforcement, so I was gonna hold it for them, unless you want to bring it up now, I can. No, because it's public communication that was sent to me. Okay, so I have gotten a public communication from a couple of the residents of the condo nearby. It gives you the temporary structure on the back. That hasn't been approved, and there's been numerous noise complaints, I think that's something to look at. There's some type of, I have photographs, but there's some type of, you have some type of temporary.
Oh, yeah, that's been going.
Okay.
I'm not sure, well, the temporary thing, yeah, but the other stuff, I'm not really sure.
No, it's just part of public communication, I thought kind of.
Yeah, there was a problem with
Issue.
those blocking this one, downstairs, and the problem, and then the door was limiting open, just going the other way, like there was any other-
Right.
Something, so we fixed that.
I'm just in a tough situation because I like what you've done. I want to go to your place. I think it's great. I think you've done an awesome job. I just think our job is to preserve structures that have historic significance, and the way this was laid out, and the way it's been, is something that's been around for 200 years, and I think it's something that should have been preserved or not. So it's tough.
And I'll be very frank, I'm in the same boat. I like the establishment, I think you guys have developed the building. I'm not against it, I'm not for those steps. I'll be very frank right now.
It's just tough to balance up the economic benefit. As someone, as a builder and a business owner, like it's hard to do what we're supposed to do. You know, what may be right for progress.
Well, and frankly, so I asked about something, maybe some insurance will step back. So, not to big sell building, you know, move. I have no insurance that.
In that was, conversation, and I think the conclusion that we're gonna use it, it's
Maybe that's, I'd like.
It doesn't,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
whether he saves or he doesn't save, there is steps.
Well, it gets back to the clarification part of the problem.
That's where I have it.
So the steps, who owns the steps? Just curious. So they're your steps, right? And the complaints about the dive bar patio, I guess. Yeah, that's nothing to do with anything, right?
No, I was just on the public communication one, so I thought.
Problem is, I have to have this.
Yeah, I
The
understand.
temporary structure is.
Well, no, I mean, but some of those comments, I just wanted to understand.
The noise we've nothing to do with drop.
Okay.
Sorry, drop. The temporary structure is coming down. Yeah.
Okay.
So as long as it comes down. The question here is, are we doing the wrong thing, saying yes to this?
Because we wouldn't be preserving the historic character of the building or the streetscape.
Yeah. It's tough. New construction is one thing. It's tough. Ripping away pieces.
When you say strip away pieces, I just want to understand like the perspective of the steps being in pieces.
I would say there's a lot of photos, a lot of history. It's a lot of-
No, I mean,
You've now taken it and changed it. Painting it's one thing. Doing what we did, the inside's awesome.
Preserving it. I mean,
Yeah.
it lasts longer under good stewardship. What's left, I mean, it's 98% the same as it was, and it's being maintained.
Building was built, those steps, based on design, included those steps.
Well, history also, they changed stuff historically too. I mean, it's not like they were so rigid about every building.
No, I'm
I
not.
mean, I still think it looks pretty historic with what he's presented. I think a new visitor, a new tourist might not know that there was this history that we're hanging on to.
It's not all about
Been here.
tourists too, it's about.
I'm just thinking, in the last presentation, there were the front door, French door. being put in. What's going on in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, we're preserving, we're preserving characteristic. We're not the actual museum. It's not inside the seaport, or if you want to use.
I don't think in the seaport's historic, it's all been moved there. I don't think that's a good analogy. So.
Well, you know what I mean? I mean, it's, I think we gotta be careful
Seaport
with
was a shipyard.
having business owners held to make it so that they can't conduct business in a reasonable way. And not overreach our historical preservation aspect versus characteristic aspect.
But again, Ted, in all fairness, to his point, I can't bring up noise. It's not an HPC thing.
Right,
Economic development is not an HPC thing. And we've got to kind of stay in our, what we're tasked to look at.
right.
I think it's, I think the question,
I think we are. So,
the building's important.
it's an iconic building, is what you're trying to say. It's signature building, so I want to be a little more careful with it.
I just think it's like the housing down the street. They basically. And was the property that was. I don't know, I understand the point, I'm not sure, I don't.
To your point, I mean, I know many people that have, talked about going and buying Swedish fish for fun. And or whatever, and the boy in the basement. And it's water. Yeah. Yeah, and I just feel like that's not lost. With the step that nostalgia for that.
Again, but I don't think it's about nostalgia. I think it's about protecting the significant.
Yeah, I think it's good. I understand you guys' hesitation. I don't think it's warranted, but I understand.
And those are not anything different than what you said.
I think that just, I think those are warranted. I don't think that they're totally.
Okay.
I think that it's warranted. And look at the guidelines of that,
Not to do what?
not to do things.
Where does it say that? I don't see it.
I don't, like, learning.
Yeah, I do, because I don't see it. I see the handbook. I've read it.
And I will come down to
And I
preservation
see
side
it
now.
saying that we can't overly burden applicants.
The state historic preservation officers, they're in their training on what our
I've been to the
set of
training.
rules
too.
are, yeah. They're, I think, a little more on the preservation side. But again, we all have our opinions,
Well,
but we're board,
that's
so we
why
have
we're
balanced
all-
opinions. Not
So I was
saying
trying
anybody
to
right or wrong.
acknowledge your opinion, and I think it's an opinion. So.
I think we'll do this. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think it'll help either, but go ahead.
I don't, for your benefit. So.
Where you're reading from, I'd like to read along.
I just don't think it's not gonna be, I don't think.
Well, it sounds like you're not sure.
The mandate of the commission.
I don't want to be quoted that you're right, I'm wrong, and then, you're not.
I'll take that, Bob.
I'm not quoting anything. I'm just saying that I don't want to get into better. Because I don't think it's gonna help. If you're saying that I'm not sure of what I'm saying, the mandate of the commission is to preserve and where possible enhance the historic and architectural character of the town's historic district.
Yes,
Preserve, and
yeah,
it goes through the whole.
preserve the character. Didn't say
And the
preserve,
architectural
just build.
significance, not worry about economic development, not worry
I
about
agree.
climate change, not worry about all
I
the stuff we
agree.
bring up. And it's all valid. I'm not
But
saying
but
anything's
that
not
stuff
valid.
is
It's
in the
not-
state enabling, the state enabling legislation mentions all that stuff and says you have to consider it. And that's the higher power that we're underneath their auspices.
Not according to state historic preservation office. who is
Well,
our
according to the
enforcing
state
body.
legislation, we are. It's
Okay,
in,
right.
it's in the handbook you're reading.
If
I
we
mean,
have a problem.
we have our
hang on.
rules. You guys aren't reading the state rules. I just read them today because I wanted to make sure I understood it.
If we have a problem, SHPO gets involved, they get the attorney general problem. So the SHPOs are straight line.
Sure. We've got legislation we're supposed to follow. I think I'm following the guidelines. You think you're following the guidelines? I get that.
Yep.
But I'm gonna acknowledging that you have a different opinion than I do. I think the key word there is characteristic of the building, not the actual physical staff. Characteristic, I think, is completely maintained. So the preservation would be the steps. Maintaining the
And
characteristic,
I think it says right at the beginning, our job is to preserve.
preserve the
preservation.
characteristic,
The
not
goal of historic preservation is to preserve continuity with the past.
in the neighborhood and all that. I've read the same words. I've studied the same words. I think my opinion is
Historic
just as valid
properties.
as yours.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Okay, well. Good.
Which is what I said earlier, Ted, I like that.
I mean, it sounds like I'm gonna get outvoted anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm just saying that my view on it's different apparently than your view. And I think my view is also substantiated and validated by the enabling legislation in the state that got us formed in the first place.
You and I are an attorney, so I guess we can agree to disagree on that.
Well, I'm just reading the language, Tom. It's not to be an attorney to read English. I mean, they've written it so we can read it. It's not in Latin. I think everyone's established what they're gonna do, so go ahead.
I think at this point, I could tell Mr. Pryor, there are 4 members here. Typically, there are 5 that vote. You need 3 to pass. So if you want to wish or ask for a continuance until there are 5 seated members.
Continuance.
Thank you.
HTC 23-38 is continued. HTC 23-39, 37 Water Street. Anyone? Or Crown Home.
Okay. No one's online, Tom.
Let me check. I just checked it. Looks like the same too. Nope.
All right, we will close the public hearings. And move on to deliberation.
I'm sorry, with that 1/3, you want to continue that one to the next meeting?
Yeah, I guess. Okay, I'll make a motion to continue HTC 23-39.
Goodrich, second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Goodman, aye.
Peace and I.
All right, HTC 23-39 is continued.
Motion to continue.
Yeah, actually, Don, if it's continued, it's still open, so it's just. Prior.
Well, we have to continue if we're choosing to. If you can do this.
Yeah, that's
good. Move on to consideration of public hearings, HTC 23-35, 42 High Street. Spring Steel, this is the siding and window replacement.
Make a motion to approve.
Goodrich, second.
Yeah, all in favor.
Goodrich, aye.
Goodman, aye.
Oh, Ferguson, I. Sorry.
Pete'sman, I.
The table.
Okay. HTC 23-35. HTC 23-36, 1 Mountain Road. It's the changes to the siding and the windows.
I vote to approve.
We got
I make a motion to approve. Well, yeah, make a motion to approve the,
Pete'sman, second.
thank you, Ted.
all in favor.
Goodrich, I think it was a really great job. Good job, Peter. Great.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
Pete'sman, I.
HTC 23-36. HTC 23-37, 30 Westminster Avenue. This is the installation of the air conditioner. I'll make a motion to approve. Goodman,
I'll second. Did someone second that?
You second?
I'll second that. I'll second the Keatsman seconds to the.
All in favor?
So I'd like to make a discussion before we move forward.
Sure.
This is a tough issue for me because the guy with the real estate office at the old Grossman's Fish Market. We made him screen. I understand a lot of people haven't screened.
You made him screen a tank, not a heat pump.
Yeah, we did. It's a heat pump. I was
Oh,
there, I
it's a
voted,
tank.
and a heat pump.
I thought the tank was the driving force behind the screening.
Anyhow.
Propane tank. But anyway,
For, I think. I will vote to approve this one, but I want it to go with a consistent kind of nature from here on out. So
I
we're
agree.
gonna discuss at the next meeting. It's either got to be screened or it's not. Because I think it's highly unfair to applicants, or some people are being forced to screen and other people aren't.
one person's been asked to screen. We've done 37 applicants in the last 3 years. We've approved them all without screening.
Okay, so we also
So
approve
it's
things that have
consistently
been
not
rejected.
screened.
I'm not gonna go on the past. I think we need a consistent.
Well,
policy.
I will think we go into the past to a certain degree because people have come and gotten them approved. We can't have an abrupt change.
We
in
approved
our-
gravel street and the state turned it around. So you want to go on things we've done in the past. I don't
Pardon
think it's, I think it's a slippery slope.
Pardon me? I didn't hear what you said.
I said we approved gravel street and the state turned it around. So I don't think we're gonna really.
Gravel
go on.
Street wasn't HDC, I mean, wasn't a heat pump. You want to change topics? I mean.
I'm
change
just saying.
topics.
That I think we need it's
All right.
fairness to applicants who need a consistent policy.
Completely agree. And our
Okay.
consistent voting has been to approve them. That's what you want to change.
I think it would be significantly better. As an idea. Going forward. I have no problem. with it.
I'm just saying, John, I get it. That will be a change. We've
Right.
been consistently approving, and
Let's
if you
just-
want to change it to consistently not approving, frame it that way. Your
No, I
argument
just said I
said,
want a consistent policy. I can say one way or the other.
yeah,
Stop.
because policy by history is,
Stop.
yes, sir.
Please. We have a motion. for this one. I don't think it's a problem. I think that we need to have a discussion about heat pumps and such equipment, screening and going forward, because I personally agree with John. I think it would be a good idea going forward. The screen, where they are appropriate. In this scenario, I have no objection.
I understand.
As I said, I think it's in the back corner of the property. I'm just gonna put a bush in front of it. If it's gonna look decent. we'll move on. So I will. Yes.
I'm sorry, I got confused. John already voted yes?
I did. Good or try.
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, aye.
HTC. Whatever, 2337 is. approved. And the rest are continued, so that's it.
Can I just ask your president, can we just press pause because I have to put certificate numbers on these?
Are we gonna make a
Do you
motion?
wanna-
Are we gonna make a motion? I will do that in a second.
Okay, I just-
Are we gonna make a motion about the steps to be continued, or is that
We
automatic?
continued, so we don't need to. The applicant
When he
continued.
says, I want to continue, we don't have to make a motion. Okay.
Yeah. So,
And can we take a recess while you do the paperwork?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome, sir.
The next certificate number is 2462
okay, so this is for the first, the Tabor
2335.
35, say that certificate number again, please.
2462.
2, 4, 7. Thank you. And then, and then
I just wanted to read out.
2463 is the Noe, one Noe Road.
Correct.
And then he wants us to write that. Sure, you all want to come tonight?
30 West Mystic would be
2464.
And also because we're switching to the new system, this will be the last time we use those numbers. It's easier to track with just using the HBC number.
Yeah.
Get an appropriate number
Yeah.
just gets lost. It's like a double.
So we've approved 3, continued 2, so I'm all caught up. But thank you for your patience.
Yeah. It's on for old business. Yeah, so modification. Previous, yeah. Yeah, we'll come to it.
It's all.
Yeah. No.
Just when they hit me like that, I'm like, oh, no, I gotta share with everybody.
Wow. I don't remember getting. Oh, okay. Okay. Good. Yes, ma'am. Three applications. Who's here for three applications? What do you do? Your own business. Okay. Your pre-application? Come on up.
Actually, we have
So 23 is also.
So Rob, first. Yeah.
You want to go first? Sir?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Okay, since you're not on the agenda, I just add, so I'll make a motion, sorry, 30. 33 motions. So I'll make a motion to add 33 motions. We have a motion.
A Goodrich second,
All in favor?
a Goodrich aye.
Ferguson, aye.
Eastman, how do you spell your last name, please?
What is yours?
I have a building from the spring.
Yep.
But we didn't, I did a front renovation, that's one of the reasons in the street, so we didn't. So basically what I want to do is put a heat pump. As I sat back.
Little beats of sweat.
I appreciate your sense of humor.
So anyway, a little background, 32 Pearl is a really tiny house. It's right next to the block with my building. You can't see it from the street really at all, but, I spoke and found it, it's a big photos, contribution, they show where the heat pump is located. Here's the interior. There's the use from. So here's the red house.
Use that as your center.
Just right there.
Yeah, that's your center.
Okay.
And I'm sorry,
So the heat pump, this is the interior of the porch.
Uh-huh.
Can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so the windows are already in.
Yep.
This is part of an addition on the back part of the house. Which is newer.
I ride by your house every day. I'm
Yeah, so
familiar with
it's
that.
a very, red, rose colored house. And anyway, the windows are in, everything in, comes and goes in this section.
So the heat pump would be inside.
It's gonna be on the,
Outside wall.
right,
Where it enters the house.
exactly.
And that wall's facing.
And that wall basically faces my neighbor's hedges, which are. kind of on the secret, but this is
Oh.
pretty straight. That's the south side. You can't even see it, but you come right about here. Over the house.
Got it, okay, so basically it's not visible, probably to be
It's
visible
not
from
visible
your
anymore.
neighbor's
It's
house.
literally the pearl, it's hard to tell, there's a dam together, but there's the garbage dam. Right, there's the house, my house. Right. So you really, you can't see it from the street, that's why they said you can go ahead and do this, and this is what. This is the, that's the addition.
Yeah.
People can't see it on the street. At all. Like if you come to the essentially it's on the other side, on the south side.
So I'm looking on Google. Whatever's gonna be. So you're just in between the yellow house. and the-
Right, it almost looks like it's a carriage house, the yellow house, you can't see it from.
So. Yeah, it's like down this alley, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Last
literally,
lane.
there's about 10. feet from our
It's
house,
like
so
down there.
it's-
That one. I mean, I believe it doesn't even look that way.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's the alleyway, and I spoke to Kristen about it, they know what's going on. And she's aware of it. And, you know, there's some fucking very clear and-
So you just want to put it at the back
So basically, it would be on
southwest side of your
on the
house.
city, exactly, on the other side of this. This is facing Lipton's.
You say
It's just hard to
you've
show.
talked to your neighbor about it and she's good with it?
Yeah, she basically said,
Would she write you a note saying she's good with it?
she might, but she basically said, I haven't talked to the person yet about exactly where it can be.
Right.
But she said, if you can put the compressor apart or away from where the focus on. she said something like that.
There.
But
For a
she was
while.
fine with the whole process, it gets it. And then from the place. It really isn't, but,
Where?
Yeah, in fact, I don't see it.
This is a previous view of the Supreme Court, for it's now been closed. You can see that it basically, but we want to close now, that's what. Go, I don't know how far, but you have to. From that, that's a question.
Pretty far. Yeah, like.
Okay, so, I mean, she just said, is there any way you can put it more towards, so that it's.
Here's my thing. I don't think you can really see it, so I'm not sure.
I don't think it's in our purview
Okay.
personally.
More about,
All. More so us have been saying that you can put this, it's just nice. if you can put it out.
Yeah. and I'm talking about it, and I'm totally fine with doing that. 'Cause we're
I
so-
think it benefits
so close.
Every, like, I'm not saying make something happen, screen,
Yeah.
but just.
So
I did.
And when I joked about the note, and it's totally out of our purview, this is just me, resident of town,
Yeah,
happy neighbors, make for a happy life.
well, absolutely.
Yeah. I meant that in jest when I said it, no.
Well, together,
Yeah.
all kind of, so it's.
I mean,
That's not been mixed with that.
so here's the thing, is you can't, I don't think you really see it, I don't think it would be an issue if you come back, if you wanna come back and put an application. Just basically cover yourself, you can, and I
Okay.
think you know if you come back, it seems to be. So
Okay,
it's up to you on how you wanna deal with it. I don't think you have to, I think you may want to,
okay,
just for.
And for. You know, you're gonna sell it, and then sell it or,
right,
you know, pass it on to someone else so that they have it on file. And it's-
Say you call the trees down or something and someone's like, oh, that wasn't. good."
right,
But I don't think you're gonna get it. You're not gonna get pushback from me, that's me.
Nor I, and again, this is not HDC, I just, most things that come back and cause a problem here is an upset neighbor, it's not
Yeah.
your neighbor, so I would just
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
You know, resident, the neighbor's good with it.
But again,
So-
I'd say for your own benefit, your neighbor benefit.
and I already got the result that you're talking about. I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So as far as the.
So what, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say what I heard them say, just because I think we need to be clear. You can come back in a couple of weeks and get a formal presentation
Okay,
and get a certificate of appropriateness. Or you can not do that and just put it in.
okay,
Depends what your comfort
Right.
level is.
If you wanna get one, but what they're saying is you don't have to get one, because they're saying, what I'm hearing is it's not very visible, and so. It's probably not a problem. Now it depends how comfortable you are having one or not having one. If people ask you, did you get a?
The reality is.
For that or not? Where was, I didn't see it, so. So if you're in a hurry,
That's what I'm saying.
you might want to not do it. If I were you, if you're not in a hurry, I'd maybe do the paperwork if you want to spend another pleasant evening in the annex. Watching town government. I'm sorry.
To submit to be on the next,
to-
to be on the next meeting, you'd have to submit by Thursday.
This,
Yeah, yeah, this
You
Thursday.
just took all that and just put it in the application and
Yeah.
mailed it over.
Do you, details of the lattice and of the screening, details of the
If you're
screening?
gonna screen it, just some details on the screen.
okay,
You know,
all right, yeah, I'll talk to my.
Okay. It's,
Email that to.
no, our submittal is now online, so you would go on our website and submit it digitally.
Oh, you can do it?
Yeah,
You guys are all up and running.
it's up today, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Even better.
Turner Road goes down, you guys go.
Yes.
You took the bad one.
Sounds good. I'll
It
say-
might be better in the end.
Yeah.
But,
You never know.
yeah. you do that. Yes, I'm- All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Perfect.
Don't leave the
You wouldn't get far.
You guys want to come? 43 Library Street.
You both want to
Are you
come up?
both?
You can bring a chair with you if you want.
Nah.
Jeffrey Don. Connecticut, Hamilton, Delaware. Ohio. This is in Brad 1, 23 Library Street.
Are you Brad?
Wait.
Sorry, second.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
You go back.
Oh,
I thought you guys.
I thought you were, I thought you
Sorry.
were part of 23. I'm sorry, my bad.
No, that's.
Oh, okay.
that's all.
You're, I'm sorry. Yeah, and
I was like, you guys aren't friendly enough to get together.
one at a time. We have a hard time just one thing at a time.
Can you imagine? Fuck your brains.
I thought it was your team.
So
If you can flip those around. The
be-
drawings.
before you even get into that, there's just an issue with this property that I don't think was ever determined. That certificate of appropriateness was given more than 5 years ago and the work hasn't been completed. So the question is, do they need to come back for the entire thing to get reapproved?
Is there an active permit?
Doesn't matter according to our stuff. That was the problem.
Right.
Oh, when was it approved? At what year?
It was more than 5 years ago.
More than, oh,
Yeah,
okay, but it's been 5 years, so when was the 5 years up?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know that that was a question that was raised a while ago.
There was a legislation passed about the permits, site plans being extended because of COVID, so if they were from like June of 2011 up and through like 2020, then they're continued for like 14 years.
For, right, but does the HTC thing extend?
Yeah,
to?
all site plans.
That's not safe, right?
It is technically a site plan. It's a public hearing, it's a site plan approval, so it falls under that.
Okay, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I just,
That's probably the direction it was given.
what I was curious was how do we modify something that isn't even valid?
It is, though.
If,
So the new
Now
state
check this
legislature makes this valid because of COVID, even though it's 5 years past. The permit for the instance.
Right, because it falls in between, approved between 2011 and 2020, which it would then. It would have been approved in that time. It didn't expire for 20.
yeah, I don't know.
You remember who you talked to?
That was Brad.
The only reason is why I got asked in the first place is there's been a lot of public comments over the last couple of years about finish the project.
Yeah.
And I think people are getting pretty surrounding residents, surrounding neighbors have started to become pretty vocal about. No, I know, and that's why I'm not.
You know,
Good guy.
Yeah,
yeah, we're all the same. We all want to finish. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Right. So, okay.
I can tell you that is what did go on. Was. Son.
yeah.
You could do the review,
Can you just make sure that
Yes.
it is,
and I
so that
will,
they don't have to actually come back?
yes, I'll do that. If he falls within that, I'll let you know.
All right.
If he
Because
doesn't,
we
I'll let you
modify
know as
something
well.
that doesn't-
If he doesn't, I'll let them know one way.
Then
or
he's
the
gonna come back, get it reapproved. Yeah, right.
Just for my own benefit, is this the house that was burned down?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the concrete things and
Okay. Great. Okay.
This,
I
this
just
by the
wanted-
application number alone, 2018, so it falls under that.
all right.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
just to be clear, nothing against you or even the owner.
No, it's
Just-
just procedural stuff.
we're pretty good.
Yeah.
You wanna do both things?
Yeah, it's all in the same. Yeah.
Alright, so we'll do the first thing, it is the owner, what's taking the garage. Taking the garage with the previous opinion. Wants to. Change these doors here. Reframe it, and put in. Carriage house style doors. Carriage house.
Height, except for the cupola, obviously,
Yeah, that's all. Stay the same.
pitch, everything.
Yep. Yeah, that's a 10 pitch. I mean, it's small given from the.
I think if you came back with an application, always the materials. That's a.
Yeah, like,
I never really got that. Like, I don't. Yeah. It's. Kind of like someone was like. Greek revival in your face. Yeah. But.
so
very-
yeah, it had round column.
Yeah. I think the character is nice.
Yeah, all right, so we'll just do,
List of materials, see elevations.
the guys leaving this stuff.
No, not either.
No,
Yeah. Is everyone in agreement? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that's that's the people there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the.
Oh, that's a.
That's it, because it's not there.
Obligation. Please. So. This is what was proposed. The first one. What we're looking at right now is the stair. This staircase right here. You wanna menu it. Because it's supposed to. You must have.
Instead of it, make it a porch.
It's still, everything stays the same for left. And now be.
We're just inside this.
Yeah, exactly, and cleaning up, getting more of a clean on. Rather than that bulk out. So kind of like, you know, when you're doing something,
I think it's an improvement.
yeah, then I feels in like, sort of like float.
Right.
That's the proposal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, facing your books. So, there, so we want to do,
Yeah, I'm okay. with
I agree.
Because the stairs aren't changing. It's pushing. For what it's worth, I think you would also. I had to go there as a fact. It's been said.
I hear about all the time. I hear people saying, hey, man, break that up. And I'm like, "What?" And then they told me to stop.
So I would make a motion to accept the modification of the stairs as on the plans.
I second that.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Goodman, aye. Ferguson, aye. Bateman, aye. So we'll allow that. We're gonna keep that. And you're gonna add it to the file.
Yeah, keep it. Once you stamp it, we can add it to the file. Yeah.
You don't,
This is gonna fold.
I
up.
gotta
Yeah.
fold it. Yeah, I gotta stamp it and fold it.
So you're coming back for that one.
I got, yeah, submit for permit for this.
Yeah. It's just list of materials. You should try to show any sort of ground details or anything, or like any of that kind of stuff.
So it's a regular building.
No,
An HTC.
HTC application.
Yeah,
You'll come back here. And to get on the next meeting, you'll need to submit. by
The next
Thursday.
meeting's gotta be on Thursday, right?
It's gotta be in by Thursday to get us.
2 days.
yeah,
And you can upload it to the website.
Correct.
yeah, I mean, or you come back.
Whenever.
My phone. Maintenance meeting?
2 weeks from today, and then the first Tuesday in August,
Which is
August
August 1st.
Yeah, it's
August first week from today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slide this down to.
August 1st is the next meeting?
Yep.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, so if you miss the cutoff for that, then it would be August 15th. The good thing is you can do it online now, so. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no fee for HTC.
What's that on the budget?
No, but if it- Still got my paycheck.
Checks in the mail, man.
Yeah.
Keep checking for it.
Let's stay with, you know.
You're good.
I'm good, we're good. Yeah, better when it's done. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night.
Actually, can I ask you, in case anyone does ask, are you picking back up? Are you picking back up on finishing it? In case anyone can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So if anyone asks, like, what do you think?
2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Just pick a month and don't say what year that month falls in.
March.
Yeah, we're gonna do weather.
I hear it. But it's still a lot of work, yeah. Yeah. All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, your turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm here. With the Ball Water School.
You want to request them?
To an existing application, an existing approved application.
So let me just add it under old business. So I make a motion to add 12 Water Street. To the agenda under old business. Goodrich second. All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Goodrich, aye.
Ferguson, I, Catesman, I.
So, and. The window in the back, in the courtyard, the rear of the building. Right behind this.
Turn it around and push it a little closer towards the.
There you go. Water Street, part of Factory Square.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's the rear of the old house.
All right,
Thank you. And then I put behind that north door. Got out the window.
Too late.
And this is what we're now. Something that.
So you just want to go from the too late for that, like? Is that it?
that's all.
I would
I think it
make
looks
a motion
better.
to approve the material change.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Goodrich, aye.
Goodrich, aye.
Ferguson, I, Catesman, I.
All right, your window.
I think you
change.
just won the record for the fastest approval thing ever.
Pretty good. Oh,
Oh, boy.
Push in the envelope. Push in the envelope.
This is going to clear the time. We are leaning in a different direction with your approval, somewhat the same thing as coordinated, but. Just loves you, so the weather's metal thing, because it can sign for a couple of reasons. It's what we think is sort of like what we say, like, going on in the building, a lot of that, but we think on the building. It's sort of, this figure that.
You just set it on top of the paper.
What do you just
Underneath
get
it, there you go.
So you want to go from the rusted corrugated to just get it black again? This is actually what I don't think we're in charge of color, right? You want to be rusted galvanized white line.
That doesn't even take a motion or anything, right? Just
No.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It doesn't mean it could be black.
And that's a shade of bronze, they cut me off, right, to give you a hard time.
Oops, so now you I'll just give these back. You don't need it. Just keep one. Yes, I have no idea. I don't do that one, that's it. I mean, just recycle it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. I think we have a couple things to discuss in our new business, so I'd like to add a few things to the agenda. Sure. I want to discuss the I want to discuss, sorry, the HVAC screening. I'd like to discuss procedure, or I want to discuss what is material and what are, I want to discuss the steps piece of it, not as in the context of the steps specifically, but just as it's like, what are we trying to do? I don't think arguing in front of people. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. but-
Okay.
So I'd like to add those two things under new business, so I'll make a motion to add those.
Goodrich second,
All in favor?
Goodrich aye.
Good night.
Keith and I, do we want to save the minutes for later?
I
then?
was gonna say, we skipped,
Oh, we'll go back to that a bit.
Okay,
we need to note that we're skipping the second.
no, I don't
Okay,
think so.
Yeah, you just did.
Okay.
why don't we just do this? It's added to the agenda under public business. Let's just jump way back. to Public communications, but I think the library should not screw. I don't get it in old business, so let's just go to public communications. All right.
Nope.
You
I had the one I brought up, yep.
So we have none there. Approval of the minutes from June 20th.
Oh, I've got some amendments. I've written them on this piece of paper for Susan. They're small, but I think they need to be made. And I'll tell you what they are. She's got on page 2, if you guys, you don't have them in front of you. Anyways, it's called Sharon Weigel. Her name's Shannon. She called her Sharon. She misspelled my name. And she said Russell Grace presented on the Cliff Street, and it was what's his name? Jeff Gillies did that instead. It wasn't that guy that presented. I'll give you these in a second. Okay, I don't think anybody's gonna have any beef with these. And then just a typo on Perry Lorenz. He spelled his name wrong in one spot and said there was no suitable or not suitable. I think it should be not suitable. So some minor corrections.
So I'll make a motion to approve it as amended. All right, all in favor?
Goodrich aye.
Goodman, aye.
Ferguson, I.
All right, so the minutes are. So it's,
When she was doing these minutes, and I listened to them on YouTube, and a lot of whole sections were cut out because the audio was bad. There was a mix up of. Right. So you went from the TV audio instead of the microphone. So I'm talking about like.
We need to do a better job at getting our
Yeah, no,
microphones too.
Yeah. It wasn't even you guys.
Yeah.
It was just the
Yeah.
system.
That's fine.
So-
If he catches it, great.
Yeah.
No, I think you did great. So
So getting back to new business, so let's just jump into these two things. We'll do the easier one first. I think the HTC or the why I keep saying that, sorry, the HVAC screening. So my point is, I think gas tanks, condensers, and all that stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, you know, do the best to operate. I just think that's generally better across the board. I agree with you. It might have some screening. No. Should it have screening? Yes, I think it's good. I don't like pulling the driver. You know, we've done a ton of them, we've built a ton of them, we generally try to write them, and we've done things as elaborate as like multi-$1,000 cedar enclosures, and we've done stuff with some cedar lines. A couple of vertical boards just out of thing coming up the house. We can see it. So I don't think making people go to an arduous task of creating some like incredible enclosure, I think is necessary, but I think it should be encouraged. If someone really wants to say like, I'm absolutely not going against the back, okay, buildings, they got not going to do it. Maybe fine, some choice. You know, I think depending on where it is, using that gentleman's as an example, I think pushed further to the back of the property without any line sets, you know, out of it visible. We're gonna put a plant in front of it. Sure, I can see the plant, no, but that seemed good. Right. If it was the front corner of the property, yeah, maybe saying, hey, can you add some cedar around it? Yeah, add some wood around it. So, but I don't think we should, just because we've done it 39,000 times before. I think it would be better practice to measure stuff.
I agree. I think hiding certain things, it's better for the district. I'm gonna use a really silly example. Section San Jose, I lived in California, we weren't allowed to show our garbage can. It's considered like we have a garbage can enclosure. Probably a little extreme. I think hiding a tank, something like that, if it's visible on a historic home, it's aesthetically appealing, it makes it better for the district.
No, I don't think we should say people, hey, you're gonna put stuff in the back. It's like, I didn't put mine in the back, it was in, you know, like it makes sense.
Right.
So like, I think there's gotta be some reason to put this, but I don't think we're doing it for service or creating such an impediment to people by saying. So I think most people like that moving to later are gonna say like, that's great, yeah, sure, I want to screen it, right on. Yeah, no, I just think we should be a little, I don't think we have to, but I think we should be a little more consistent with our own. I don't think there's anything for us to go off and say, no, there's no reason.
I think I'm saying the same thing you are. I think we can encourage, strongly encourage, but not mandate. And if they do, great, if they don't. Keep it. I think, again. There are benefits to having them 100%. So I don't think it's a horrible thing for. To have something of some sort, whether, and I know we can't. Stick over a bush, but like. The fact that you listened to us the first time I put a bush, that. One of the reasons why I was very happy with that.
I don't think we should. I think the guideline. Everyone's gonna do the air conditioners.
Right.
Because there shouldn't be any air conditioning. That's that, forget it. We do. I don't think it goes down to condemns it. I don't think we should do that at all. I just think we're gonna put it outside.
Well, and I'm gonna say one thing though, I don't mandate's probably the wrong word, but I don't think it should be a suggestion. We have to have a policy, whatever that policy we agree on as a board, whether it's whatever kind of what you guys feel, but I think, well, suggestion maybe, then we're kind of in the same boat. It's gotta be it's gotta be a,
Strongly recommend that we get mandated.
I think we need to balance the difference. between-
Right.
I think we need to balance how visible the equipment is with. It should be screened. It should be screened.
I agree.
I think in the unlikely scenario that someone's gonna stick it in front of their house 10 feet from the road, it has to be screened.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be located. Yeah. I think if it's located in the back corner and we make a suggestion with the recommendation to screen it, and the person says no, I don't think we should be voting no.
I agree. I think it's reasonable. But I also think, in all fairness, just because we've done it in the past, is not a reason for me to do that today.
Absolutely.
The past goes to some consistency, but the part that gets to me is this, the state historic district enabling legislation for historic districts. And this is on page A9 in our book. You guys have probably all read this, but I'll read it, and it puts context on what we're talking about. It says no application for a certificate of appropriateness for an exterior architectural feature, such as a solar energy system. Designed for the utilization of renewable resources shall be denied unless the commission finds that the feature cannot be installed without substantially impairing the historic character and appearance of the district. And I view these heat pumps are part of the renewable resource solution that the state and the town is pushing for, because it's a way to heat without fossil fuels. In other words, you get off propane and oil. If we all on electricity from sustainable sources, we can generate electricity that way. So I hear and agree with everything you're saying, that why not be screened, because they're not historic for sure. But the state's also saying we got to encourage a solution to climate change. And they're saying unless they're, and now you can convince how disagreeable that installation is. But it has to be pretty disagreeable. I'll get to finish. I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I was gonna put my hand, so you're done. I just wanna.
So how
put my place.
disagreeable it is.
I just need to ask you, where are you on page one?
Well, in our handbook, it's page A9. Right here. In the back.
Oh, in the,
And the
okay.
state. And I'm on the opinion that the state, we can add more stuff to the state requirements, but we can't detract from the requirements. So in other words, if they give us a mandate to say you have to let renewable solutions happen, even if you're in a historic district, unless they're egregious, we've got to do it. That's one point. My second point is we've got a big history of following that mandate up till now. And I think we would get in trouble two ways, either by not following what it says or by not being consistent with our historical rulings. Now, all that said, Eric, I agree with you. It'd be better if we couldn't see them. Better if they've got, I think plantings and fences are fine. So now it's going to get back to judgment on how, in our face, we think it looks.
And I wanna make a point there.
Can I just give me 1 second, just to fill this in though. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone's saying, okay. The state legislation had to do with solar panels, because solar panels were being pushed a while ago, and historic districts are saying no solar. And the state came out and said specifically the solar panels, not so much heat pumps, because they're heat pumps, but they're also condensers for air conditioning. They have dual use.
That also says features, right?
But I think features is related to the solar.
I think it's related to heat pumps. So we can go gas
It's
them, but
not.
I think it is.
I'm telling you it's not.
I'm telling you it is.
And I'm telling you, I
So-
read that is only focusing on
It's
solar.
not, because you gotta read the case law.
Okay, well, show me some case law, educate me then, because I
Okay.
think it's fair to say it is.
And I want to add something to that. So when I was researching a different matter on historic district commissions, having to do specifically with this FOI issue. The state says we can't deny solar panels and nobody's
You
saying,
can,
You can't.
in the event
Have a
that,
good
yeah,
reason.
right, but there are some historic districts in Connecticut that put restrictions on them. A, you can't have a solar field next to a historic house. B, it's got to be put on a other building if built later. So hang on, good job. So, yeah, nobody's saying that there's a state mandate that says certain things, but there's also nothing that's saying it can't be. And I'm sure Tom's aware of this, regulated in a different way. And At the end of the day, we all live in this plan. I think we all agree with you. Everybody wants to, we tend to make our planet a better place. It's just,
I think we're confusing the points here, though.
right,
The state statute. I respectfully, I can find you the case law. I don't really want to spend the time to it myself, but I can if you'd like. The case law is specific to solar panels and the ability to put them in historic districts. It's not about. It's not about other things. We're not saying no to solar panels. We're not saying no to heat pumps. What we're saying is what's already in our handbook on 36 and 37, which relates to utility structures as a whole. And it goes on to say solar panels are allowed, but their location, their type and location is regulated under the historic district, may be placed on a street. And it goes into the whole thing about that. And it also says like utility structures, which are not traditional to a building or general historic context, should be concealed from view wherever possible. Permanently installed air conditioning equipment must be placed out of public view wherever possible. And there's no practical alternative exists to temporary window installed air conditioning units, which I'm not, that should be deleted. These shall be installed only during the cooling season. So all I'm saying is,
Heard everything you just said. But that was written before the state said you gotta get better about renewable sources.
but
So
you're
that's
not,
antiquated. In other words, our handbook, as we all know, is out of date. That's what we're working on.
right, but you're confusing two, you're confusing. You're confusing two, which is the difference. Moving enough, moving the heat pump and saying, see, right. You're conflicting two issues. We're not saying no to approving anything. We're not saying, we're just saying, yes, we're gonna approve them, you should conceal it. That's it. But I can tell you for a fact, the case law related to the solar panels does not. Cover all forms of.
It probably will. I think it's gonna, that issue's gonna ramp up. We're on the wrong side of this street. We're gonna be on the wrong side. of that argument.
but Ted, in all due respect, I think you're. We are historic district commissioners, and again, I'm not trying to discount your opinion, else we think it that way, but. You say, well, the case law might change, there might be a lawsuit, you know, you might be 100% correct. But at 8:37 on July 18th in Groton, Connecticut, that's kind of outside of what we're here to do.
Okay, but I'm not gonna say that. I was gonna hold this back, but I think. You ought to be setting an example of a historic district that has got its finger on global warming and it's trying to.
All the doing it by saying, well, install your heat pumps, just put them in paper. The better you conceal it, the more places you can possibly put it.
Yeah, I think it's okay if they're visible, right? Because I think it shows concern for the climate change, like the ones on top of the stand. I think it's fine.
It doesn't though, because the reality is, what do you think the hell of it? Comes from fossil fuels.
Right, the coal plant.
That's right, there's
And the longer term play is to change that.
I know, but I think
You
the
know,
whole thing,
so-
like, yeah, all of a sudden, like, when you're learning.
It's gonna take a long time.
Right, so I don't think showing off that we're saying people put these condensers.
Okay, so I agree. So it's okay if they're more.
Look, I think it's a lot better to put, I think it's a lot better to put one of those, in. This have a window air conditioner.
There's
I agree.
contracts on all this, right? The heat pump. Is sitting in front of the house with one of John's new cars in front of it. Doesn't look very historic, right? You can't drive modern cars down the street. I think it's a burden to the homeowner. You buy a house and you want to do good for your world and the environment. You want to get good heat that's cheaper than fossil fuels. And now you get a lot of extra things. You may get extra things from us. We have to build and maintain. That the other guy doesn't. And is it reasonable or not reasonable? Depends on the situation.
Well, the other guy, look, the reason why these heat pumps are being put in is because ease of installation. Of air conditioning.
No, I disagree. They're for heat. You can use them for heat.
I don't want to
And
get into an argument with one, but I can tell you as someone.
Didn't buy the right one.
No, I don't know heat pump, but I can tell you that the majority of scenarios. When you put them in, exception of the rare and reconstruct. The standard. The majority of people are adding them to historic homes.
For air conditioning.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. But they're getting a bump on energy conservation as well. It's their, and the shoulder seasons around here, they're super
If you have
economical.
enough for it in the home, you have a forced air system, you are not adding. this. You're just gonna add it.
Yeah, okay, I get that. I grant you that. But if you don't, you can get the air conditioning and then also for all the show,
But
in the
anyone
fall
that
and in
has,
the spring.
anyone that has a ducted air system, wouldn't go out and buy
Okay,
any.
but a
sort
whole bunch of people don't have ducted air systems,
Right.
like me.
Right.
If they have radiators, you save a lot of fuel oil.
But if
I
you're
have
gonna
a heat
tell
pump.
someone that they should screen their equipment, whether it's pencil for air conditioning or heat, it doesn't, just screen all your equipment. That's it. Just screen it.
The difference is the cost of one needs to be maintained.
What does it cost?
If you're spending $13,000, like, if you're spending $13,000 on installation system, one head to one condenser, and you can't have your screen.
Okay.
So I have
100
propane
bucks here,
tanks in my
100
house
bucks
that are
there,
surrounded by
you
other
other
ladies,
people's
so I
stuff.
screen them.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'm not.
I just think we ought to be careful with how rigorous we are on saying that how much they have to screen. So we're back to the same place. I agree there should be screen. I think we should be careful. I think you make great points. But if you're, I get the feeling you're saying I have to vote exactly the way you vote on each of them. You see.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not, but
So,
I don't
I'm a little more liberal about them than you are. And I don't want to put extra expense on the people who live in the district or anything. I guess I want to incentivize them to do this stuff. I think it's good stuff.
but again, in my opinion, I think that's outside of your purview as a start district.
And I don't. So,
I guess I'm not understanding this argument at all. Because, not to say,
well,
because.
they think I'm too liberal with heat pumps and that.
No, we're all on the same liberal, because we all support them. So
That's
there's,
what we're doing.
As long as
See,
it's
that-
free.
It's not about.
no, it's not even as
No.
long as it's green. We're recommending that it's green.
And the
Well,
more visible it is, the
that-
more it should be.
So
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
all.
I agree.
I-
So you
I'm
just
just
said that I completely agree with.
I'm gonna take a hypothetical. If it's in the front of the house and it's visible, it's not screened, I will vote against it. If it's like this one and it's in the back where it's not seen, I'll probably vote for it. So that's how, I'll just say upfront how I'm gonna look at it. My comment was in fairness to an applicant. So here's the way I look at life. I should be able to move here from Timbuktu, never owned a historic home, have no idea about how the historic district commission operates and go, I bought a historic house and here's what I want to do. And I've got to be able to walk in with a really good idea how we're going to go. And I think our applicants right now, they don't have that. And I don't think it's fair to them. And I think they should know heat pumps will be screened if they're visible. If they're in the back, they probably won't be. And I'm just saying that, I'm not saying that's the way it should be. I'm saying we should be that concise. In my opinion, that's my opinion.
And that's what the guidebook says.
Right.
So I just think that. We get to that. Change it. Because I think at this point right now, we don't have a choice. If we're saying we don't have a choice to follow this thing, we're following it. Right. No matter where it is. I'm just saying, I think we should. What it is, the more it should be.
That's reasonable. I agree. My caveat on that would be, it depends on the installation sometimes. The person's got nowhere else to go. Right, or their geography or their street front or their whatever, the. You know, how much the hardship, and the state legislation does talk about hardship to the applicant, which I would translate as money. Saying that you can't make it ungodly.
Hardship is not an.
What is it then?
Hardship, if you look for hardship for variance or organic about it.
What is it then? What's a
Hardship.
hardship?
Physical to the lot, because it's slope or rock outcropping or something that physically can't allow you to build something.
Never, you should have tried. You cannot get a variance because you own more units, or it's gonna cost more money or.
Right.
No shop. That's what we want, so. I do think though that there's some piece in the historic district. Prepare to. Carry out.
Some burden.
I don't buy a historic home. I mean, that's, I don't look at it.
I think if the argument was, don't, according to this guy, don't put them in unless you're gonna put a window. That's the same. Right, I agree. That's, I'm a big supporter of. People, they put them in all the time. I'm just saying.
Screen them.
Yes, screen gas tanks, screen, you know. I think hide equipment. look, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna vote no because someone's swinging it on standards. You know. Depending on where it is and what it is. I think.
That was good discussion. I appreciate it.
But I just want you to leave the room knowing that all four of us are on the same page, on encouraging. Alternative. We're not against, we're not saying, we only want coal fired on stoves outside. That's not.
I want you to hand chop down your trees.
We just want to recognize
Yeah.
that to keep the historic.
It would be nice
feel,
if they were more screened.
if they were.
That's the message I got. And that's a good message.
I don't. The force that.
Okay, so. Just on the procedure. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a particularly great idea. Oh, obligated to.
What?
To
I
tell them it's
would
right.
have voted. Yes. So we would have had. It. I was just trying to.
And I would have voted no, because you probably picked up on,
So.
and I will next time.
It seems like it was going one way, and I feel like it was obligated to know what is right. That's why I'm sitting.
Okay. I just. You're making this objective. Too much. Or too much. That being said, after all of that. Still, I feel, I want to know what is the plan? What is? And how, like.
And I could, and I was trying so hard to understand. What you were. Again, I'm not trying to be argumentative with you.
No.
You know me, I'm not that person. I'm just, I was like. It's a like for like, that was in my view, and I'm not saying, I think that you have to agree with me, but for me, it was a like for like.
Yeah, and I'm not a, and look, I mean, very, but I am not a change by any, you know what I mean? The laws of Groton Street, my building, mix, you know, I'm voting a million things. It's a, I voted. I just like, you have a building like that, I've got old photos. You know, that street, and it just shows that building the way it is, with steps and whatever. I just wonder, like how much is too much? Like, and also like, I guess to some extent, it's also the context of like what's going on. I just would hate to start pulling pieces. You know, I'm like, it's like a little, and then suddenly.
And for me, the steps don't make that work. And that's just my thing. That's
Yeah.
why I had no problem with what
I
he
just
was doing.
totally seen the photo of him pulling with the steps, and I like.
Yeah,
So let me ask a question on the steps. If it wasn't for COVID, would those steps have been pulled away?
I don't think any of us.
I think the answer is no, they wouldn't have been pulled away to put the patios there. That's what he said in his application.
Yeah, I was putting, those actually were taken out after. It was, it was after.
I mean, it's just, I'm with that. You'll chip away at the historic.
Look, I remember being, I remember being there, being like 7.
Yep.
Sitting on those front steps. And I remember being like 15, going down there and like sitting down there and after like a bike ride. After we bought crap in the basement.
When Tom suggested that he could continue it, he said he shouldn't have said that, or he should say that.
I don't think we should have jumped in because I don't think it's.
He gave
I
the
don't-
guy an option, though, that he wanted, he didn't know. Clearly, he didn't, he was surprised and like, okay. You didn't have to, but you can only let them know what their options are, right? And that just sounds fair.
I don't know, because then. I think you gotta do it to everyone.
Well,
I think we should just stay out.
That's the.
It's your choice to follow and decide on what you want to do and understand the role. It's not our job. So, like,
If he has an option to continue it, that's a pretty reasonable thing to say when.
the only reason, not charitable, was the only reason we suggested to the options.
Because it looked like it wasn't gonna
Looked like it
pass.
wasn't gonna go through.
Yeah.
But in reality, it would.
Well, but he would have, if known that option, it's not gonna say Tom didn't think it would go. Bailey didn't think it would go
What if it
either.
comes back and it fails?
Pardon me?
What if it could have passed tonight and it comes back and it fails?
That's.
And what if somebody in the community
making
watches
a
the
choice.
video and makes us think about it, gets a petition going?
Well, if I were Bailey, I would have done what he did, because you guys both look like you're gonna vote it down to me. Reading your body language. So I was surprised to say you can vote the other way, but anyway, that's water under the bridge. I think. Helping somebody out when they get stuck. With what their option is, and it's really not, you don't do it to everybody, because most people aren't stuck. There isn't a contentious thing.
I mean, here's the thing, and I'm gonna talk as a resident, not a commissioner now. And you guys are all in town enough to know, a lot of people, a lot of residents are building towns. Going the wrong way.
I'm sorry.
A lot of people in town feel the town is going the wrong way.
Uh-huh.
You know, so. You know, I talked to John Burr, I talked to Officer B, the community policing officer, you've got this place breaking out downtown Mystic, the place is out of control. You've got people when the ghost tour going, throwing food at people, trying to run people over. You know, you could go there defecating in the parking lot of the Mystic Art Association. You guys have had to put up. So, you know, you talk about our future. I mean, at what point did we chip away the town so much? We just, you know, let's just tear it down, make it Disneyland. You know, why not? It's economically better. Right?
That part, I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree. I think it's bad, but I think I don't think it's a
It's kind of a lot
discussion.
worse than.
That's
I don't think it's-
That's not for us.
That's not for us.
Well, that's why I
No, but
don't
I'm
agree.
saying
I
if
mean, I'm
you chip away
not
at
saying
the
those
historic,
things aren't
the
happening.
historic
But that's
fabric of the town, at what point you were just not where we are.
defecation in the Mystic Museum of Art and fist fights and throwing.
That's not a good-
That's society. That's the
I'm just saying
degradation of
downtown,
our
this is
society.
downtown's not going in a good direction.
All right. Let's step back to that. Let's.
Yeah, I agree too.
I just don't think that we should be stepping in and giving applications, and giving applicants any sort of encouragement one way. Whether they're gonna give them a broken document. I think it's his choice to just make this decision. I don't think, because I don't think someone who thinks it's gonna be, you know, I don't think him turning to someone saying, hey, you got it tonight, stay on the agenda is any better. Is any better than like saying, just think, someone's gotta do what they wanna do. They gotta know what they wanna do. You know, that's all. I think if you, as commission members, I think if you want to jump in and say, like, you have. these
Oh,
options,
okay.
I think that's different.
That's okay. I could say it, Tom can't say it.
I
That's
think
a
it's
thing.
different. Yeah,
All right.
I think it's different. No, I just
Yeah.
think.
So let
Okay.
me ask this question. Hypothetically. He comes, tonight and votes, it's 2-2. The no decision, the no.
Would fail.
Would fail, and then he comes back 3 weeks with the same application.
Can't do that.
Yeah,
It's gotta wait a year.
Gotta wait a year.
Gotta wait a year.
Okay.
boy, I
You
gave
come
you
back with a
advice.
different application.
It was slightly.
Well, it has to be significant according to the rule. Whatever that means, we would judge how significant the change is.
There's just two pieces on this whole thing. One is a bunch of suggested. Well, should, actually, it's two parts. Should staff be suggesting it? Should we be suggesting? That needs someone to answer this. I just think that should get flushed out, because we should know and not find ourselves in a situation where someone afterwards. You led. Well, maybe it's too, maybe it's not just we can do it, we can, or whatever, maybe neither of us should. So I don't see that.
I think, I
All
mean,
of the standards,
unless
not
there's
the-
a requirement, I think the applicant can make their own decision, but that's me.
They need to know there's a decision to make.
Got it. Like I said, unless there's a requirement.
But they do know, because they can read the.
The other thing I was interested in though, because I've been reading a lot, if we turn it down, we have to give them a specific reason why it's not appropriate. We can't just say it's not, you don't think it's appropriate. So in the case of the steps, what would we?
Not
What would we
keeping the
say?
historic nature of the building. The building was
It's not gonna be
designed,
too general.
the
It
building was designed to have those
has to
steps.
be something that he could come back and change and remedy is the idea behind it. The specific,
I don't think that there were any problem. Haven't been voted, saying.
you have to put the steps back. That would be an example of being specific.
Right, but that the historic nature of that building and the facade facing water is significant enough. I think that is reason.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yes. I think it's,
Sometimes
again, I
have
just
trouble coming up with a reason.
I don't think we are an overly no commission, so I think that
I agree.
reserving no's. Like I said, I just think it was a job. I just don't know what that is. That's what I see your point, and also like I like the place, I like going there, they do a great job. I like how it looks outside. I don't like it without the steps too, however, I also look at like the guy what the cast is doing. And I do see the argument that you've got a building there that it's 200 something years old. It's like the face of that area. And you're kind of just like stripping a little bit. And I just don't know, like. Back stripping, like, maybe they want to just like take the phone numbers out and like. Turn it all into like, you know. Bravo. No, but I mean, like,
No,
I don't know, like,
no,
you know.
no, and I would vote against. It, because I think that.
But
overstepping.
really, what if it's just a little bit every time? I mean, that's how things change, just a little bit.
I also think for what it's worth, like, how it could, great, they got change. But, yeah, that's what- I just think that we need to. I think we need to better understand what is. Quite frankly, I'm not sure it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
And I think there's an evolution to this historic district. Part of the reason why the four of us are here is because awareness. So that there was a group before us that was like so hard to do. So. Oh, yeah. That was the perception. I'm not. I'm not.
But hang on, there's a second part of the story, though. Go ahead.
But forget perception. I was here one night for 2 hours. Couldn't decide on the phone. What's the vertical? Under a piece of deck, there was no bit of.
So I'm just saying that like, if even. I'm repeating what you showed that over the past few years, I just think. The commission just evolves with time that our commission is more liberal about key function than the previous group. I don't have any knowledge of who is on the board and what's speaking against them. I'm just saying that part of the beauty of politics in general, not political per se, but is that things ebb and flow through time and changes are made.
Well, let me give you a counterbalance there, though. So I disagree. So you had a board that was probably a little too preservationist. Wasn't here, but right? They called it the hysterical commission. So without using names, you had a mayor that decided that wasn't good for business. And they targeted this commission and swung it the other way. Which isn't right either. These boards are not supposed to be political. And that was a very political move. And now that's, as you say, evolving and getting to this. That's why I think it's important you have the me, who, as Todd says, wants to make his hand dip candles. And we have the you, because it's fair to the community. And I think we need to respect
I've been
each
identified
other.
on the other end.
Just say it. But no, in all seriousness, I think that's a good representation of the community. Because there are some people that look at it my way. And there are some people that look at it your way, his way and his way, and it forces us to agree and compromise. And that's best for the community.
I think we've been very. Change, right? Significantly more change.
Right.
Right, that's not. Yeah, with the limited few projects and technology, more ones.
Right.
I will say as a chairperson, I do think that discussions that we're having right now, which are similar, reasonable, do not get to the level of the cloud. Thank you. For a while. Even though it was just a minute, it was almost. Just gonna go. Which would be for wow. Yeah.
So one thing I do want to say on that,
Like tonight, you're talking tonight.
Right.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
Just one
Yeah.
volume down.
so Laurel, one thing I said that real quick though, because I did my thumb on this, because I didn't think skipping very little bothers me. you've done it, another commission member's done it, and we'll leave it at that, has questioned my motivation. Well, you're doing it because we think you're thinking this way. You know, if we were in the town council next door, they order each other to death and we're getting nowhere, you know, we're not going there, but give me the respect of not assuming I'm with. Doing something.
I understand.
Yeah.
And I would appreciate that. And sometimes maybe I get a little. My blood pressure is a little bit because I feel that sort of thing. It's more of a personal thing. It's not. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. I'm just having that conversation.
Yeah.
I want to respect that too. I respect your positions and
I'm also.
I'm sorry, sometimes you get into the, I think
Yeah.
you're attacking me too, right? And so.
Then I apologize. Fair enough.
I'm guilty of it sometimes saying things.
Attack's a strong word.
Yeah, 'cause they're in.
Yeah.
I get it.
You're trying to make your point.
We should just, some of the editorials.
Yeah, no,
We
that's
all should talk back, and that's me included, because I've said stuff afterwards. Actually,
Right.
Give the stamp.
that's all. I think it's a good body. I think we're great people. I think we got a little elevated tonight. We didn't.
Yeah. Good advice.
I'm done.
I'm done. Bill, so you bring your guitar, we're gonna sing Kumbaya.
Got anything?
Some more reggae.
I think as we get through the rest of this handbook, though, I do think that we're gonna flush out a little bit more direction, because we're gonna encounter sections and things like that where you're gonna see stuff that it's sort of counter to what we're doing in general, and also maybe in line more with what we're trying to say. So I think we just have I'm done.
I think that's the points you brought up, Eric. Thank you.
I think everybody. Oh, you want to do enforcement really quick?
Yeah, yes.
And then,
So just a quick question on enforcement. Why do we even have this section?
Because we have enforcement actions.
Well, we're not the enforcing group. It's not in our protocol, as far as I can tell. Read the whole handbook.
Tom, you wanna
Anything
answer
about
that?
us.
Yeah,
He does enforcement. He didn't say anything about us doing.
Because we can, as commissioners, request enforcement actions.
I'm
right?
just reporting back to, like, because it's relevant to the.
We're reporting what we've asked him to.
Well, it doesn't say anywhere that we're supposed to ask him to do anything.
Yeah. So those little. point.
No, the point is to improve the applications or decline applications. Enforcement's not. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, guys. I'm just saying you can't show me in the handbook anywhere where it says we have any role in doing enforcement.
We can hold on.
So make a note of it, right? Because right now, from my point of view, this is off script. We're not supposed to be talking about enforcement.
Isn't this a public thing? So,
Sure, a lot of things are public. Is it our mandate to talk about?
no, it's not. It's made.
Or is it in our purview? Is it in our?
Is it our purview, Tom? I think so.
I think.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, it's not clear. So John, as you just said, it's another thing to stick in the book, but
Yeah.
they have something to do with enforcement.
I'm pretty sure the procedures are in.
yeah, there's a whole enforcement piece in here.
Doesn't have anything to do with us, that's my point. There's what happens if you don't comply, blah, blah, blah.
But it's actions by the commission. So the
No,
commission,
it's by the zoning officer.
But we can go to the zoning officer requesting, like, I've sent you emails requesting.
Oh, just like any other person could. All right, just to. So, I don't want to be a police.
right, but the thing is so. If something's not in compliance, he has to, as the enforcement officer has to do it. But then, if the violation persists, he's got to come back to us and permit us to institute an action or to ask for an action.
Really?
That's in the handbook. So if we're not,
Okay.
if we don't know what's going
Wow,
on,
this-
how would we ever know? So, I mean, I don't think you need to you don't even need to read this. Like,
You got
it's
a
fine.
page?
Yeah,
I
I
just
13.
want to know just what's going on. That's it.
Should any violation persist, the same section of the statute permits the historic district commission to institute action in superior court to restrain such violation. And to issue orders. But the violation-
Oh, okay, so we're talking about potential court cases.
So that- I'm just reading.
I know, I read it too.
Look,
No,
This,
Look,
that's all.
I guess they've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, this is how they
All
start.
right, let's go.
All right,
what I will say to you is, I have. If we have to bring a. If we have to bring a superior court case, I know.
Yeah,
That is way too far. I think, in my opinion. Right. I do think, however, though, reminding people that there's a process, and they need to follow it. This person needs to get a COA from the fence or whatever, but like, I don't think we're right. I don't think Chelsea Garage should be throwing up parking meters.
right.
You know, are we gonna, I mean, am I gonna institute or agree to institute an action against my bank? No.
I don't bank with them, I'll institute it.
I like my accounts.
Yeah.
I'm a card broke, I'm good.
I mean, they would never do.
Missing.
Joke.
I don't know where.
Who you bank with, Ted?
Chelsea Groton.
All right, it's on me then, guys.
No, I mean, they would
Now, if
never
Card
do
Broke
that.
does anything, I'll have to recuse myself.
No, I don't, we're not in the, we're not in the, I don't think. Place. I think we'd have to be pretty much.
But I think, yeah, I mean, the only thing right now that would be extreme is 8 Pearl Street's been going on for a while, there's no response. It's kind of chasing an LLC around, how do we find this person? There's 3 addresses in Norwich that I have this letter to, so. And it's not because, it's just because of lack of response from them. So the only way to get enforcement is to just push it to the next level. I haven't gotten, just to go back to this, I haven't got responses yet, it's still been out, so I haven't gotten a green card back or a letter with the green card saying it's not accepted, so it's still just.
Who pays their taxes?
Well, ain't one of them.
I mean, but can we trace where the?
Oh, yeah.
The
it's-
check or something?
Yeah, I talked to Rich Goody. I found the, the state, I found the addresses to send these,
Got it.
letters, so pretty soon.
I think it's probably similar to your zoning.
Yeah.
Enforcement, just, how many times you go for it, very rarely.
Fair, yeah. Usually
I
gets
should
resolved.
imagine that was it.
That was it, since, yeah, maybe one other one, but yeah. that's
So I don't,
In the 92 High Street, right next to the house we talked about tonight, right? It's the white thing that sticks right up.
Yeah, it's on the,
yeah.
across from the church, it's up on the
Yeah,
that's,
concrete wall.
The yellow
house, the yellow house.
Not that.
No, it's
It's not the yellow house, it's the one that's a little after the yellow house.
Yeah, no, but
No,
It's
that's
the
different.
green one, it's the
different
green
yellow.
house, not for
Different
the
yellow.
corner, it's the green house.
Different, yeah.
It's different. yeah.
That's the one on the corner.
No, so there's,
house that we.
That's not
there's
this.
the yellow house
Yeah.
is below house.
Yeah,
On the corner, right, when you go down there.
yeah,
Then there's this house.
this
And there's a
green one,
yellow
right?
house
The green one with the turret kind of thing. It's the one that.
Yeah,
right, it's
then
the one
there's
that
a,
this fence is on.
there's a yellow house in the night, which is actually 4 apartments. Then there's an historic society.
Yeah.
That used to go to school. Then there's the actual historic society, then there's Norman Road. And then there's the White House, and then the yellow house.
This one you can see.
You were
from the
going up the street
intersection
the other
of
way,
Route
but
1.
I was,
I'm going towards.
if you go downhill, right,
This one you can see from Route 1 coming downhill, it's right in. Second house.
yeah, I mean, it's the only one. The
They
fence is
used to
right
have
up on
like a
the
lattice
street, right?
fence. They used to have a lattice fence there of some sort, and then
They've
now
got a
it's like a
sitting
vinyl
area right
fence
behind
that's
the
the same
fence,
height, so they
they're
changed.
going to privacy is what's going on.
Yeah, but
It's
But
a
anyway,
vinyl, it's a different fence, it's different materials, it's right on the property.
Right.
Doesn't meet the,
Right.
or it might, be, but the material.
You get fast one.
they've no room to go ahead.
Is it time to adjourn? Did we say adjourn?
Motion to adjourn,
Aye.
second. Aye.
You made the motion and seconded.
And voted.
Turn off your green lights. Yeah. Turn off your green.
I'm sure it's what I'm about my parliamentary procedure.